Here we are.
Are we live?
We're utterly live. I haven't
We're very
been
live.
this live since yesterday.
Incredibly live. And we
Yeah.
have a guest. Who's this beautiful man?
Yeah. Who's this fabulous head of hair we have on the bottom here?
The
You guys are
perfect
too
skin.
nice.
His skin he hasn't changed at all in 7 months.
So have my gains in Pokemon. Not changed at all.
Oh,
I love that. Well, we're going to get into that, Ern. We're going to talk a little bit about some of that vintage stuff that's gone so crazy and what it means for the world of Pokemon. We are here for Midweek Machamps. This is volume 19. Can you guys believe it? We have done this 19 times now.
love it. It's been so much fun.
Yes. Ern is our first ever returning guest. We had Ern on volume 4. I went back and looked and kind of saw, okay, how early on was it that we had Ern involved? And it was volume 4. And as we'll discuss later today, that was a big program that we put on that day, discussing kind of the viability of a full-time Pokemon business, who should do it, who shouldn't, what's the situation in which it would make sense. And then obviously personal experiences between myself, Riki, and Ern about, is it something that would be realistic for us personally? And some things have changed since then. And so we wanted to come back, have Ern on the program and see what's changed, see if we can learn from our former selves.
Self-inflicted roasting. That's what the next 2 hours are.
Yes.
It's good good to reflect.
As we were prepping for this program, we were all chatting and Riki was looking at some of the things that we had said. And I just chafed hardcore against some of the things that I had said, some things that I thought were gospel that are just absolutely not true at all. And I'm excited to talk about those today. Before we do that, let us reflect on what happened just 2 weeks ago in our volume 18. Riki, let the people know what we were chatting about last time.
Yes, volume 18, we discussed, it was in some ways a kind of a slow news week compared to how much we had covered with Swan's Emporium the episode before. So we discussed 20th, 25th, and 30th anniversaries and kind of asked the question, are anniversary sets even good? And then we kind of used the bonus time of a slightly shorter news week to just spend an hour plus in the Q&A, which was great, fun interaction. And I still think it was a great stream, a little less sweaty maybe than some of our streams, and maybe than today's will, as Ern put it, the
Did you say anniversary sets are not good?
No, we compared and contrast evolutions versus celebrations, and I think the conclusion was that they're generally good. No one likes the new stamp.
Yeah, we concluded that they're fun, but it's clear that it seems to me like the Pokemon Company has caught up to the idea that these should just be absolutely mass produced and kind of like an entry level. Enter the card hobby with this kind of set. So that's kind of where we landed, if I remember right, Riki. But there's cool cards for sure, and we're looking forward to what they'll do for 30th anniversary. We did get some updates about 30th anniversary on the last 2 weeks, so maybe we'll kind of touch on those in our Hitmon topics a little bit. But other than that, I think, like I said, we're going to spend the bulk of our main topic today reflecting on what we've learned about the Pokemon hobby in the last, 7 months?
7 months. Yeah, 7.
What level of involvement makes sense? Obviously, there's been some shift ups for Riki since that volume came out, and maybe even some perspective changes from myself and also Ern. And I'm glad to be recruiting more people to the dark side, and maybe one day we'll get Ern on that bandwagon as well. But until then, let's dive into our traditional topics and kick it off with a personal collection show and tell, PC pickup time. And without any further ado, I want to see what Ern's bringing to the table, because he's got a cool PC. Let's be honest.
Yeah, wait, dust collector.
Yeah, aspiring dust lord. So there's PC pickup. There's the speculating one. I just want to make sure I categorize things appropriately.
Yeah. PC pickup, we'll talk about a notable deal. We'll talk about later on, we'll have a take a chancey, which is speculation. And then we'll also end with an elite forecast. So
Okay.
there's lots to prepare. But first off is the PC pickup.
Okay, this part's easy. So this is a Russian Ancient Origins Machamp EX and PSA 7.
So
This is a
cool.
gift given to me by a good friend, Leo, Hater TCG. Shout out, Leo. If you don't know, Russian cards, Russian Pokemon is incredibly rare.
Yeah.
The print one was very small. And yeah, this is something I keep. I collect Machamps, and this was something I definitely had to just keep in my collection. Do you know what it says there, Jake?
Well, his name is just phonetic. There's Machamp EX, and then yeah, I can read that. And so, Leo, if you're out there and you're feeling very gifty, like I would love to own one of these as well. I'm also a huge Machamp collector, and I do speak Russian, so I am actually big time jealous of this, Ern.
Love it.
What
You or me, Jake?
what about you, Ricky? What do you got going on?
Okay. I'm going to sort of close the loop on something I hinted at last stream. I did set this up down below me here. So this is actually this wall here, basically all the slabs that I own. I'm much more of a binder guy, but truth is that slabs are growing on me a little bit over time. And so the one that I want to show off, probably not surprising for anyone that's sort of been following along.
Mm.
The
Look at that
DNA,
texture.
yeah, the DNA texture is so good.
How many now?
Well, I'm glad you asked, Ern.
2,
Three.
3.
That's it. I got 3 right now.
Oh my goodness. He's stacking his gains, everyone. His
Wow.
bags are heavy.
Yeah. So, and I mentioned this last time, this is totally just a me wanting to own this card for free and hoping that this goes up. I feel like the attention just hasn't gone to this like XY stuff yet. Is really what it is. And once people get a little bit, I don't know, priced out or tired of the vintage stuff, I think there's a chance that they move to this era. So
I agree with you. You could
Okay.
also buy like 100 of them and then tokenize them all.
Mm.
is that are you recommending that?
That's a joke.
That sounds like a new business endeavor, Ern. You
Sounds
might
like a
need
new
to go
business
full
model.
time in order to pull that off.
Yeah.
What was it? Cards, coffee, cordyceps, and coins now. And crypto.
Oh yeah. Cards and crypto.
Cards, coffee. Wait. Cards,
Cards, coffee,
coffee, consignments,
cordyceps,
cordyceps,
and crypto coin.
crypto. That
Yeah.
one we might need to cut that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember the last time I needed to walk into a brick and mortar in order to do a cryptocurrency exchange. Dude, that is such a beautiful card. I love that Mewtwo. I do also have a one singular copy. And I was walking the Fort Worth Collecticon this past weekend, and I saw the blue version of the Mewtwo from that set, not the secret rare, but just the regular full art blue one. And I was literally about to buy it. I was able to figure out a good deal on it. I was going to pay like $1,200. But I looked on the back and it had like some like big white condensation booger or whatever on the card. And I was like, no, dude, I cannot justify paying, basically a full market price for a card if it has some yucky goop on it. I
You think it was
really
clean?
bad. What?
Altered? Think it was clean or
No,
altered?
I think it was like in the encapsulation process that like some sort of thing got in there, and classic shout out the Q&A of the encapsulation process. But no, I mean, it looked like a pack fresh card that had just gotten some stuff on it when it was getting close. And sometimes this happens, like a little bit of condensation will get in after the fact. Like if the slab goes from like really cold weather to really hot weather or something like that can happen. And I was sad. I wanted to have them both. Well, for me, gosh, guys, it's like open season out there at these collecticons because everybody knows that low pop cards are so are so in demand. And so all the vendors have like moved a lot of their inventory to pick up some of these rarer cards. And some of them are like obviously worth it and are comping really big online. And so like their values definitely increased. But some of them are just coming out of the woodwork and they're really rare, but they're just really cool. Maybe don't have like a big price tag on them. And that was this card right here. If so this here, this is
That's what we call dust there, Jake.
What was that?
That's what we call dust.
This is dust? Yeah, probably. This is Golem from EX Dragon. And gosh, dude, anybody who is looking at their computer, go and look at the artwork on TCG Player or eBay for this card. This is literally Golem standing in like a bodybuilding lat spread stance.
Yeah, he's so tough in this one.
He's just flexing in a big way.
Yeah.
And I couldn't resist. I needed to own this card. It has a big swirl on his shoulder. And I think it's like pop like in the 40s or something like that. So for sure I overpaid for it, but it's one of those cards that like once I saw it, I knew I had to have it. This is just such it embodies me, like wanting to think I'm tough, but actually just kind of round. So
this is a card for anyone in the chat that doesn't want the PSA 10. I'm pretty sure I had a near mint raw copy of this for about $50 for multiple shows before it sold. So it's a pretty attainable, cool e-reader holo card if that's your thing.
Yes, those first few sets in Gen 3. So you got like Ruby Sapphire base, Dragon, Magma Aqua. They still have the e-reader and they still have Cosmos foil on them. And a lot of the holos are super cheap still in great condition. So that's a great way to get a cool binder for not too much money right now. So yeah, those are that's the big PC pickup. I picked up some other things, but that one was the one that I loved the most.
Nice.
Cool. Nice.
Fun stuff. We got a lot of tough poses in today's 3 PC pickups.
That's a good point. Maybe we're compensating for something.
Maybe. Let's move on so we don't have to flesh that out live. And
right. We wouldn't want to flesh that
script.
out.
No, too far off script.
Yeah. All right. Should we move on to our second traditional topic of a notable deal since in the last couple of weeks, usually since the last stream?
All right. I will show you what I bought.
Let's see it.
Some people are not going to be happy that I show this, but I'm going to show it anyway. I bought you know what this is?
Yes, this is Squirtle Pokemon Center promo. Comes out. You're able to get it if you ordered the 151 UPC of Pokemon Center.
Yeah, technically very limited.
Yeah.
I have a box and some of these.
Whoa! How did you get that? That's cool.
Just because I've been gone, Jake, doesn't mean I still don't got game.
I think never accused you of not having game. You know, I'm hanging out with you in your car every morning because I think you got game.
Yeah, good deal from a good guy. Great card. Hopefully, we'll see.
So that was a little carton that had 50 copies in it.
Yeah, I bought 2.
Whoa.
Wow.
Okay. So you're the proud owner of 100 or more sealed copies of the Squirtle Pokemon Center promo. I like this play. I really do. I'm actually also a big time sealed promo collector. So there's something maybe most people don't know. Every time someone trades in a sealed promo into my table, I don't resell it. I take it off the table and stuff it into a top loader binder forever and ever. And so yeah, that's a play I agree with big time. I love that.
Hang on, Jake. You do that even with duplicates as a collection or as an investment or?
As a degenerate, I just stack them up.
You just stack them up and you have no exit vision?
Nope. Maybe one day I'll sell them. You know, it's just the kind of thing I really feel like, you know, Ern says collectors get paid. I also believe that hoarders get paid.
Hoarders get paid. Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough, man. I'm guilty too. I have a 4-row dragon scale vault 2 of the rows are filled exclusively with sealed promos.
I love it.
Yeah, I get it. I think I have 50 of the Lucario V-Star from Crown Zenith.
Great card.
Yeah.
Too cheap to pass up back then.
Yeah, those were like forever, like $1, right?
Like $3 sealed or something for a long time. Yeah. Yeah. And then they went up to about 15 to 20. So I've kind of bought into them at both points.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, it feels like still feels undervalued. I get that there's a lot of them because of the Crown Zenith was like printed a lot, but yeah, I don't know. I still feel
What's
like
the pop on those things?
In a 10, I have no idea. It's probably pretty high.
I'm gonna guess. Let's put
you can
the
guess. I'm gonna look
Jarchomp
it up.
brain to test. I'm gonna say that there are 14,000 of them.
It's a good guess.
More.
Oof. 19,000.
Close. 21,000.
Wow.
I would have guessed 15.
Yeah. Yeah, I was in that range too in my head. Yeah.
Yeah.
But pop
great
doesn't
card.
matter anymore, so we're good.
Pop does not matter anymore at all.
We're gonna talk about that. Yeah, pop is not important. Very cool. So notable deal for you, Riki, right? You're next.
Sure. Yeah, this one doesn't have too much of a story, but it's a fun one. I traded remotely through somebody I met through Reddit a Gold Star Charizard PSA 7 that I bought at a show and
Nice.
a Shining Gyarados first edition PSA 9 from my side. So that's about 14K or so of market value of cards from my side. They gave me about 10K of cash. They gave me multiple Sword and Shield booster boxes like Fusion Strike, Silver Tempest, I want to say a couple of those, and then a few other singles and slabs, nothing too wild. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the story. It's just the biggest deal I've done recently. The truth is, because I've been transitioning out of my job, I haven't done a lot of selling myself. Actually, JT's sold more for the business than I have in the last 2 or 3 weeks. So
shout out JT.
Yeah, shout
JT out here doing the real work.
Honestly, man. But yeah, it's just the biggest deal that I've done recently, and it was a fun one, and done remotely, and we kind of sent it in parts. So yeah, you gotta deals on Reddit. I know it's a funny, weird thing that because it's really like one of the places I got my start, and I don't have my username isn't Oyama's Trading or anything like that. But often when I make a post or when I'm interacting with someone, certainly when I send them my address, a lot of the time they're like, "Wait, like I watch your content." I'm like, okay. They're like, "You should have told me you're you." I'm like, "What do you want me to do?" Like,
it's like
Reddit's
one of those things.
cool, but like it's so cumbersome.
Yeah,
it's a little cumbersome.
It'd be like if you would have said, I would have given you a better deal. It's like, shucks.
Also, like, what am I? It's just weird. Like, what am I going to say? Oh, hey, by the way.
Yeah, before you tell me how much you want, keep in mind that I am Riki from Oyama's Trading.
Right. Right. Like, come on.
Yeah, that's not a great look. I hear that. Very cool. It goes to show, though, that it sounds like. So, did you communicate primarily through Reddit for that deal?
Yeah.
Okay, so the deals are out there, guys. I mean, we get asked all the time in this program, on our Instagram and our YouTube comments, like, how do you source cards? How do you find deals? I bet you're not trying Reddit yet. I bet you're not out there grinding on Reddit.
I bet you can't figure out how to post on Reddit the first time around without help.
I bet you're not just surfing r/Pokemon like Riki is in his on his couch at 1 a.m. So okay, I have a deal to talk about. It happened at one of many really interesting deals that happened this past weekend at Collecticon in Fort Worth. So a fellow vendor, Any Rare Trading, Anthony, he actually didn't get a table at this show. He was just walking the show with a whole bunch of big grails. And that's kind of what his move has been recently, is to have big cards in his case, walk them around and show them to vendors and just see if, they can work out mutually beneficial deals on big cards. And one of the things that he had in his case was a first edition PSA 10 Blaine's Charizard from Gym Challenge.
Nice.
I've actually never owned that card. And I love WotC, and I love Jim specifically. I have a Giovanni Nidoking first edition PSA 10 in my personal collection. I've owned the Machamp and Raichu. I actually have the Raichu right now in my inventory. So I really do love those artworks, kind of the harkening back to the anime. And so I was like, you know what? I like this card more than I like some of the cards in my current inventory. and so I'm willing to like work out a trade. So I gave him a couple of cards that I had good numbers on, plus about like 10,000 in cash or so. And so I was probably into the Charizard for somewhere around 15 or 16K. And I didn't know what was going to, I never sold one. I never had one. And in fact, at that price tag, that card was basically the most expensive individual card that I had in my case for, on that day. Well, an hour later, a Charizard collector walks up to the table and he's like, you know what? I just love PSA 10 Charizards. So we worked out a deal where it was a little bit of cash and mostly trade. And he picked up the Charizard. So I owned that card, a 20K card, for all of about an hour. And that just goes to show that sometimes your risks, they pay off. Now, I didn't get like stuff that is like quite as noteworthy, I would say, as the PSA 10 Blaine's Charizard, because they had kind of a bunch of random things that they traded towards it. But a couple of bigger cards. I got a PSA 7 Gold Star Charizard, just like you had, Ricky, and also a set of PSA 8 Legendary Collection reverses, Charmander, Charmeleon, and Charizard. So those were the bigger pieces, and then some other things on top of that. So that is basically what we picked up in that big deal.
Nice. Awesome. Someone in the chat said we were echoing. So I think, were you still getting the echoing? And let us know in the chat when Ern went on mute, or if he switched to headphones here. We can kind of deduce.
I'm just assuming it's me.
It might be. I mean, I'm nothing different about my setup. So if we don't usually echo, better now. Okay, it was Ern. Thanks for the heads up, chat. Cool. Nice deal, Jake. That's
that's huge.
How it was a 1 hour flip?
Yes, like a 1 hour flip on a 20K card.
Wow.
This like the craziest thing to hear someone just say out loud casually.
Yeah. It's hard to, like, I don't know, like I guess not to say I'm desensitized, but I didn't get into the card for some like extremely screaming deal. It's not like it was just an unbelievable come up in a short period of time, but it is, buying and selling a card of that magnitude in a really short period of time, it's pretty cool.
Nice, man. Love it. Money loves speed, as they say.
That's right. Trying to beat Derek for a 35 to 40K flip in 30 seconds. You know what, Sphinx? I don't know. I really hope to aspire to be like Derek one day. One day I'll be as good a businessman and also maybe as tall as him. One day I want to grow up just like Derek.
There's still time.
There's still time.
You're still in your growth spurt.
Yeah, I'm a growing boy.
You're just a teenage boy.
So that's what we got going on for the big deals. Yeah, I love all of those. The sealed Squirtle promos. I'm intrigued, Ern, to see how those do. Maybe we venture into the tall grass. Are we ready?
Wow, I'm always ready to go into the tall grass, man. I don't know about you.
Okay,
I've been waiting 7 months for this, man.
7 months of hanging out in caves.
Where are we going? I think we're going to go just north of that Pokemon Center, which is on the outside. It's on the Cerulean side of Rock Tunnel.
Okay.
And you can catch, I'm pretty sure, like Sandshrews or Ekans, depending on which game you're playing right in there. And then maybe a Venonat. I think you can maybe get a Venonat there. So let's go there and see what we find.
Venonat might be too early in the game for that.
Is that right? Is he only Safari Zone?
Cerulean? That's Misty's gym, right?
Yeah.
So it's after you beat Cerulean and you also beat Vermilion, because you have to get cut to go to that part right outside of Rock Tunnel. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I don't think you can get Venonat to like Erica though.
Okay. Well, then I'm staying corrected, but it's just north of the power plant. You know what I'm talking about?
I haven't played the recent release. I'm going off of like memory from 20 plus years ago.
Yeah, guys, that was a really good minute of podcasting, guys. It was a really good, really
insightful.
insightful stuff. It's what people come to us for. Well,
Yeah,
hey,
you
you
guys
know what?
glad you're here on a Wednesday night to talk about this?
Yeah, 100%. I would not rather be anywhere else. I can't speak for the chat, but for me, there's nothing I'd rather be doing. All right, well, maybe some sand shrewd things in the tall grass here. For some reason, there's a bunch of digital packs and digital rip companies. So we're not choosing any one in particular, but there's just a few like Chance and Triumph that maybe aren't the big ones that you've heard of. And so we wanted to talk a little bit about the proliferation of these digital rips and some of the things that we hear or speculate on in terms of like how much is flowing through these and what their impact is on the hobby.
Yeah.
I mean, December, November, I made videos just talking about how like the general impact on the prices of slabs above, I don't know, $250, $500,
Yeah.
how that's going to be impacted by products like this. Because eventually, like, they all have to buy the supply, and the supply has to come from somewhere. And like, I saw that Magikarp, was it Magikarp that got pulled? The Gyarados from a Goated thing from Chance?
Oh yeah, JT pulled JT pulled the Magikarp poncho.
Yeah, and I'm like waiting for the thing to be replenished because I want to see what the next chase is. But that next chase came from somewhere, right?
Yeah.
So the businesses that are doing a lot of sell through, and you know, these companies make a ton of money. Like, they are getting supply from somewhere. They're not all sharing the same supply, I would like to think. And so, like, who are the buyers? We've heard rumblings of buyers at these different shows paying 95, sometimes 100%. You know, it's par for the course now. It's just now it's coming to fruition, and you know, I think there's going to be more of these services. And is it good? Is it bad? I don't know. I am of the opinion that like net more money in the hobby is good for everyone. As bad as that sounds, even though there's like some necessary evils, if you will, that you know people have to kind of accept. This stuff may or not be one of them.
Yeah, that's you bring up a great point which we've talked about before, which is just like the inevitable increase in liquidity that these companies bring. And when things are really liquid like that, in order to like really decrease in value in a downturn, they become much more stable, right? And would decrease at a slower rate because things are getting bought up all along the way. And yeah, it's fascinating. And one of the reasons we wanted to talk about this again today is because these businesses are thriving.
Yeah.
And we were kind of talking about in the prep meeting that even the ones that you haven't heard of yet, like honestly, I hadn't heard of Triumph until very recently. And then like, you know, through a connection that I have with someone who works with them, I learned that they're just doing like millions and millions of dollars in revenue, like on a weekly basis. And they have big competitors. Like there's Courtyard's been there forever. You got the GameStop Power Packs, which are like fueled by PSA. You've got Arena Club, which is an absolutely massive outfit on the sports card side that now also has a lot of TCG products. Like this is it's a thriving business model, and it seems like new versions of these kinds of things are popping up all the time. So it seems to me like this area of the hobby is here to stay. We don't know the end impact of them, or you know if there's going to be some sort of potential regulation might get introduced, but until then, like these are here to stay, and they're definitely impacting the way people are interacting with the hobby and bringing a whole new category of people to the hobby in the first place. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm really interested in the impact on people who didn't previously have much interest and get into it through this, like in an earnest way, not just through the gambling side of it. I don't know. It's hard to say, right? I mean, what would you guys guess? Like of the whole pie, what percent of people weren't paying attention to Pokemon cards until 2026, let's say, and one of their primary entry points was one of these digital packs things, and then they come out the other side as like legitimately sort of invested in the hobby, like they start collecting in a real way, what percent would you guess?
I think most people who spend money on this stuff probably are not core collectors.
Totally agreed.
I think they're
most.
like whales, gamblers. I mean, if I had to guess, right? And I'm pretty sure like there's only a small group of people who power most of the revenue on these websites. I mean, I know that for a fact from like two of them, just from one person I know who's building one and the person who I know is working at one of these.
Mhm.
And so their challenge as a company is like, how do they acquire more users?
Mhm.
But they're not really, they probably don't have tens of thousands of users if I had to guess. And you know, if that were to be true, then I think what also is true is like the impact on the hobby is that like there's this illusion that this is actually creating much more harm for people than it actually is.
Mhm.
When really it's siphoning, or I shouldn't say siphoning, it's getting people to spend money who likely weren't going to engage in with the hobby in a way that's like similar to most people. And I know that sounds like I'm taking sides, but I'm just thinking like, you know, it's just one of those things where like, yes, there could be bad that comes from this, but the likelihood that this is impacting everyone else in a way that's like truly negative, I think people like to project that it's like, you know, kids are gambling and, you know, all this stuff, like things you can't actually prove with data, but you can prove with emotion, or you can back with emotion, you know?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
That's honestly what I believe is, and part of that too, and the reason why I feel generally fine with these businesses now is this stuff actually makes me feel better about the health of the hobby, because in a downturn, those people are going to still spend money on this type of stuff, and we're all going to benefit because it's liquidity for all these expensive cards,
Yeah.
and that's feeding into like this global shared market demand that we're all benefiting from. So like, I don't know, I just kind of look at it a little bit differently now.
Mm.
Because unless I've met people who have really mortgaged the house and they've lost everything because they've been gambling, that would be terrible, right? But to say and to think that's probably half of the users or a quarter of the users or even 10% of the users, like that seems very, very unlikely to me.
I really, really like that take, Ern, and I think I agree completely. I think like an analogy that immediately came to my mind is like, you know, the economic situation of the city of Las Vegas. Like you've got all these casinos, and the people that are going to the casinos to gamble are doing so of their own volition. Obviously, there's going to be some percentage of them that like are really falling into a vice for sure. That's there. But on the exterior of the casinos and all of the industry that's happening there, you've got an insane restaurant scene and an insane like entertainment scene that is like piggybacking, obviously the hotel scene that's piggybacking on the fact that there's all these casinos right there. And you can go to Vegas and participate in like a really cool weekend with no gambling, because of the things that are there. It's like we can all be involved in the Pokemon hobby, whether we're interested in this more gambling type of, you know, interaction or not, or maybe, you know, we dabble in it here and there by opening regular booster packs, or, you know, we open a handful of these kinds of digital rips from time to time. But for the most part, we're existing in the other parts of the hobby that we find much more rewarding. And yeah, I think I agree. Like the downsides seem to be much more kind of fueled by emotion and hypothetical futures rather than like actual impact on what's going on with all the people and the value of cards.
I want to try a counterpoint here, and you guys tell me if this is dumb. Do these gamblers? I get what you're saying, Ern. Do these gamblers artificially prop up or give us a false sense of liquidity and value and the amount of money flowing through and strengthen the market, when in reality, if there was a downturn, a lot of those gamblers would actually cut this from their budget because it's just something they're so like uninvested in that there's other things they could gamble in if it's their fundamental nature to gamble, but like they're not going to spend the same amount maybe in really hard times, or if the Pokemon card value weren't there. Like, is artificially propping it up at all? Be my
I don't think it's, well, I think, I don't know if you can say it's artificial, right? Like, how do you define what's
I guess
real
like
demand, what's not real
artificial.
demand?
Yeah, sure. I guess artificial in the sense that they are people, like the contingency of people who engage with these things who truly like barely care at all about the cards and would not be around if not for like the value. Like they're not collectors, they're not
Yeah.
businesses, they're not vendors, they're not investors. They're like purely dopamining on their phones. And
I
this
mean,
happens.
Jake's Vegas examples. This is a good counterpoint. It's like in a down economy, the hotels are not the best, right? When people start to spend at those hotels only, is that bad versus the other hotels?
I don't know. I guess I don't do. How does Vegas do? How do
I
casinos?
don't
I
know.
bet you if we looked up the data right now, you would see gambling like steady or increasing during downturns.
I'm
in
gonna
the
look it up
economy.
and see if I can get answers on this.
I'm gonna ask Claude. How
Okay, I was gonna
does
say ask it.
Vegas do gambling?
Yeah, it's a fascinating question, and like I think I think what Ern said, yeah, it makes a lot of sense to me, and there is one piece of it that it's like, wow, it, like the idea of all of this, digital mystery pack and mystery pack general is like it's a departure from maybe what we originally thought the hobby was going to entail,
Sure.
20, 30 years ago. But like you don't have to participate in it, and like the actual impact on you very, very possibly is a net positive because these things are here.
Ern, what does Claude say?
It says it used to not be immune. It used to be considered immune to downturns, but that has changed since the 2007 recession. Hospitality and gaming have taken a dip during economic downturns.
Hospitality definitely makes sense, right? And so like if you're not in the city, then you're not less likely to gamble for sure.
Yeah.
I wonder if we followed like some, a sample size of 100 local Las Vegans, Vegasites who like are already gamblers, if their propensity changed at all. Anyways, this is getting
Yeah.
into the weeds. But
Well,
yes.
I think just one other point is like, Ricky, what you said might be true, but so what? It's like it's more so like, so when we get to this topic, I'll explain why I think this way. We should just take advantage of what's going on now and not try to future cast alternative scenarios as best we can, because literally anything could happen. So,
Totally.
Yeah.
For what it's worth, I'm mostly playing devil's advocate there. And when I say I don't know on the things like how does gambling do in these sorts of situations, I mean it literally. No, I mean in an acute sense, this year, the next couple of years, like this is happening, this is growing, and it's real demand from a dollar's standpoint that is flowing into the hobby. And to your point, that if you care about the hobby from a value standpoint, then we all benefit. I agree with all of that. I'm just thinking through like what's the, like what happens if it actually kind of hits the fan? Do a lot of these companies go away because a lot of those users stop spending like this?
Yeah.
Cool. Should we move on? Actually, maybe before we move on, we've had a few super chats. Maybe we just acknowledge a couple of those super chats real quick.
Let's do it.
And remind the chat that we do Q&A at the end. So usually somewhere around 2.5 hours into the program, we'll spend half an hour or so with the chat. So you can ask questions at any point. We do our best to hit the star button on our side so we can revisit them. But we had a couple here. Treasure Planet Collectibles said, Ern told me to trade all my Evo Skies for Pogo. P.S. Love the pod, guys. $5 super chat.
I mean, depending on when exactly you made that trade, you could be absolutely crushing.
Is Pogo up right like in the last few months?
No,
I
Pogo,
bought my
is it like $100 in ETB? What is it worth per ETB?
I judge Pogo's health by the Mewtwo, and it's at the price that I bought my Mewtwo from you at a discount at a card party. Just so everyone knows, I track this thing every week at least.
Ern, finally, that's one time that I sold a card to somebody and didn't regret it. Finally.
Krabby's Cards $2 super chat says, these three just blowing from Stupid Town? If you know, you know. Yeah, it's a callback to a few streams ago. I think the last time we did it took a piece of my mind as a segment.
The answer is yes. We have nothing to offer other than really snarky opinions.
Yeah. It's just purely entertainment. Nate Dog with $2. What's good, Jake and Ricky? Aussie card collector, 8 Australian dollars. Okay, we'll come back to that for a question. We got you. We'll get your question later. And then Blast Boost, $20 super chat. What's up, man? Hope y'all have a great one. Congratulations, Jake. I am with the wife tonight, but want to jump in send my regards. I think congrats probably on the 100K is what I assume. 100K
Yeah,
on
Blast Boost was very sweet. He made a little post on his story and let everybody know that I got to 100K on Instagram today. For all we know, based on, the crazy things I might say on this pod, I might lose enough followers to go down from 100 back to 99. But you just never know in a market like this. Things are so volatile.
Okay, we'll have to take a look at how your Instagram follower count looks tomorrow then, Jake.
Yeah. Hashtag mass unfollow Jarchomp right now.
Yeah. Hashtag Jarchomp shaped hole. Okay, let's move on. So we talked about the rips. Let's do a little bit of like card release news. Pitch Black is the English 5th main set for English Mega Evolution coming out Friday, July 17th, mirroring Japan's Abyss Eye. And it's got this.
It's got this.
It's
So
definitely
it looks
got
like
this.
a Persona 5 boss
It does look like a Persona
or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, this is crazy. This is crazy. If any of you are Elder Scrolls fans and have played Skyrim, this is like Hermaeus Mora, the Pokemon. It's horrifying.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the mega designs of all time. We can say that without a doubt.
Mega chunk Darkrai.
Yeah, so I don't think there's too much else we know about this, but just obviously acknowledging it, like the Pokemon release schedule keeps rolling. People continue to be mad at it. People continue to shake fist at clouds that Pokemon should slow down, even though they're just doing what they have been doing for 30 years now.
Can I just say they lay up so clearly like what cards to speculate on months in advance.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's a great point. Like, hey, look, huge Darkrai. This can be the main chase of this set. Maybe go buy 50 copies of Darkrai V-Star from Crown Zenith and see what happens. Not financial advice.
You might be a little late, but I don't know. Yeah, you never know.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, I mean, I've seen people make these sorts of plays. I won't be specific. We know that Derek Swan started collecting some Dittos, maybe like the Delta species Dittos and stuff like that ahead of Pokopia, and that pretty much worked. So it is you can definitely play that game and come out on top.
If anything else, the title Pitch Black, it basically just absolves them of having any art at all on the cover of the booster box. They just go black background, Mega Evolution, Phantasmal Perfect Order, and then Pitch Black with literally nothing but black cardboard.
Don't a lot of the Mega boxes actually already have nothing but black cardboard on the front?
That's the joke. They're just going down to literal nothingness.
I see. Nice. I see. So it's just blank.
It's just black.
It's just black on all four sides.
Yeah, they're doing their best to not get accused of using AI art by just having no art.
Yeah, invest in black ink now.
Exactly right. No, I mean, who knows? We don't know too much. Darkrai historically does have cool cards, desirable cards, not like set leading cards. I think the Darkrai V-Star is probably like, I don't know,
the best looking one,
15th or so on the list of Crown Zenith.
Oh, yeah.
And then you've got a Darkrai is it technically a promo or is it a pull from Hidden Fates? You got a Darkrai in Breakpoint, I think, a full art, and then you got a Dark Explorers, right? Darkrai.
I was doing some consigning for a buddy of mine, and this guy reaches out with it's like a pop 20 Darkrai. I think it's like black and white, full art or something.
Yep, it's the
he wanted like
promo or something.
Is it plasma? He wanted like 20,000 for it. I'm like, dude. Even if I had 20,000, I'm not speculating on a Darkrai card. I'm going vintage. Yeah, that got me.
Yeah, I hear you. But then again, like, if you buy that card for 20,000 and then it's a little low pop, then you have to just spin some story and all of a sudden someone buys it for 25,000. That's the age we live in
Do you
right
really
now.
think that card would go for 25,000? That's
Sorry,
what I had a hard time on.
You're thinking about this one?
Yes. I think it was this one.
Okay.
He wanted like 20,000 or something like that for it.
Yeah, I mean, we have a bit of a story on this. We'll be protective of identities and things here. One of our mentorship clients traded into this card at materially less than 20, and we, after hearing all the details for about 25 minutes on a live call, we gave the green light to do it. He did it and has gotten offers over 20 multiple times now and has not accepted one yet. This card, I mean, it is at least 20. It might be 25. I won't confirm the specifics. It's in that range, no doubt about it, Ern.
I would take it if I were him.
They just keep getting better offers every day, so no reason to rush, But we told them, put a 2-week like timer on, like a absolute timer on it. So anyway,
Yeah.
Dark Rise set coming out soon here. Should we move on to Pokemon XP and Worlds?
Yes, this is a cool thing, and I'm a little jealous. I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it in any sort of fashion, but I am intrigued about this kind of Pokemon XP event that's happening alongside Worlds. I personally am not like too involved or pay too much attention to the competitive scene of any of the Pokemon games, but the XP seemed like a cool kind of bonus add-on.
Yeah.
Go out there. And it is in the Bay Area, which, not too far from all of us, specifically you guys.
Yeah. I went to the one in San Francisco 10 years ago. And I don't think at that time they did the XP side. It was just like the competition, and they made like some side events. I think XP is actually a new.
Yeah, I think this
newish
is the
thing,
first
right?
year they're doing it, Ern.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, it literally
For
says
XP.
first. Okay.
Yeah, for XP it is.
Yeah. Never mind.
We don't actually know what it is. Like, it's not going to be a card show, right? Like, it's not. I don't know. It might be something kind of like the summer camp vibe of part of Card Party, maybe.
Yeah, I'm interested to see what they do. Like they're definitely going to have, like they always have, some sort of like museum like exhibits, with old stuff and merch and gear and cards and whatever from past years. I imagine there's going to be some of that, but like XP also kind of gives you like, well, maybe there's going to be voice actors, maybe there's going to be artists, things like that to kind of go and see and interact with. Not really like a vending scene for like secondary market stuff, but still a very I don't know, like seems like it would be a fun event. But I don't know if you can get tickets to one or the other, or if it's only both. And I know that it's really, really competitive to get tickets at all, right?
There's an interest list you can sign up for, and I think it signs you
2 more
up
weeks.
or up to both. Like, I think you can specify. So you can request to be part of both, I think.
Interesting.
Yeah. You have 2 weeks left to. Yeah, there you go. April 23rd.
Yeah. I will find a way to go no matter what and vlog whatever I can. But I think it's I don't know. It's I think it'll be fun either way, and it'll be interesting. I think they're knowing this market, there's probably going to be unofficial trade nights and things like that.
Unofficial, official.
Unofficial, official.
Yeah, because I don't think they endorse trading and selling, right?
Not from.
I think it's always done like outside of the venue. I remember seeing the one in Hawaii. Someone on YouTube was taking vlogs, and there'd like be people sitting outside the venue with like tables and stuff set up, or on their backpacks with their binders. And they would just walk around and see who's trading what.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool vibe, Trade nights are always cool.
They can be fun. Okay, let's go on to our last Hitmon topic here. Pokemon Champions just came out at 9 p.m. Pacific last night, so kind of like midnight Eastern global release on Nintendo Switch 2. Not out yet for mobile. I think that's later this year, an unspecified date, but definitely it is out. Yeah, we talked a little bit about this, I want to say 1 or 2 streams ago with the release of Pokopia and this game, obviously, but it is here now. I guess the first less interesting question is, have you guys given it a try yet? And the second question is, how do we think this impacts the TCG side of the hobby?
I don't have a Switch 2 still. So is it on Switch 1 and 2 or just 1 or just 2? Okay.
Nintendo Switch and Switch.
Oh, it's on both. Yeah, I'll download it. I don't have it. To be honest, dude, I didn't really know how to battle as a kid. Like, well, I hardly understood how to use the berries. And it wasn't until like I was an adult and watched people battle and play like on Pokemon Showdown and stuff, I realized like, oh, there's a whole metagame to playing Pokemon. That's like not just you can one hit KO with like Thunderbolt on, Gary's Blastoise or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I'll check it out. Do I think it's gonna impact the game? I mean, this is one of those things where it's like it just helps. I don't know if you can map it back to any particular thing. If they did like a big release or promo with a certain character, or if they released like a promo card, then it would make sense. But I don't know. I think we're so hot right now; it doesn't even matter.
Yeah, I like this. It seems like Showdown was always a really popular thing, and which is not an official Pokemon product, correct?
Not official, no.
And so, like, they're just pulling more people into the official ecosystem, and I like that play a lot. Now, I actually haven't downloaded it yet, Ricky. I know you did, right? And is it digital only, and how much does it cost?
Yep, it's I played a few hours so far. So Ern's laughing. I finally had a chance. Come on. Well, because it came out last night. I played 2 hours.
No, because you stopped working.
I didn't stop working. I'm working on a business.
Oh man, look at that. It's already personal. I love it. You can't trigger Ricky any better than saying you stopped working.
It's good market research.
It's market research.
Yes,
no,
it is.
No, it's actually just that for the first time in like a year and a half, I had nothing better to do on a Tuesday night. No, I played a couple hours. So it's free to download. It's free to play, but you're like kind of throttled. Like you don't have a lot of box space for Pokemon and things like that. So for $7, you can get like a starter kit that'll give you some of the kind of like in-game currency and give you more box space and that kind of thing. And then there's sort of like a battle pass mechanic. It's kind of like your traditional like Overwatch style battle pass where you unlock certain levels, but every other level is a like paid level only or premium battle pass only. So there are certain mons or like shirts or whatever that are like kind of behind that paywall. I think there's one other thing that you can buy. There's a membership, a monthly membership, kind of like a Pokemon Home sort of thing. That, and I forget exactly what that entitles you to, but so that's like what it costs side of things. But it is truly like you can totally get the experience for $0, which is interesting. And then. Yeah.
What about like, is there like some PvE kind of stuff, or can you like battle like bot trainers who have like teams assembled, or is it only versus real people?
Really. Not that I've seen. If there is, I haven't tested it. It's all like the point is to battle 1v1 online against somebody else.
Wow.
Oh wow.
Yeah. That's how it works. So you get There's like a ranking system. Where like if you just roll dudes, like if you're on a four win streak, it'll like progress you faster up the ranks, and kind of like it's like any ELO sort of system, but it's really simple, like Pokeball level 1, 2, 3, 4 kind of thing.
How do you get Pokemon? How do you like build a team?
Yeah, so there's Pokemon Home, which I don't subscribe to personally, but I think you can move Mons over from Scarlet and Violet and ZA and things like that. And then in game, you get some as a default team as a starter team for free. And then there is a mechanic by which you recruit Pokemon, which basically gives you some 10 or 12 that you can kind of pick from that are relatively random. And you can only pick one at a time. And it costs an in-game currency to accelerate how often you can do that recruiting and what you can actually, whether you actually permanently get to keep them on that you recruit. So so it is relatively slow going without Pokemon Home and without tons of victory points or whatever. It's pretty slow going to build the team of your dreams. You need to like re-roll a lot. So mechanically it's set up a little bit like how TCG Pocket and Pogo and those kinds of games are actually. Yeah. It feels familiar to that sort of model. Yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, and then the game itself, some people are I'm gonna say I'm having fun with it, but some people are criticizing. Like, it only has 200 mons. It's really missing some very game meta like core items. So that'll be interesting. I assume that they'll just add more over time, but some really heavily used things like choice band, choice specs, life orb, assault vest, not in the game yet.
Interesting.
Yeah. So some people are criticizing it. It's definitely not as approachable still as Pokemon Go or TCG Pocket. So
Right.
I just having played it, it's kind of, maybe it's a little obvious on the surface that this is for a slightly more hardcore audience than those two platforms, but in terms of the impact, I don't think the impact to the cards side of the hobby is going to be as material as Pogo and Pocket were.
Yeah, I agree. It seems more like a tool than a game.
Maybe, I don't know.
Give us your 40-hour impression next week.
Give you my 48-hour impression next week.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you play 40 hours, we want to hear again.
Oh,
Yeah,
after I play 40 hours. Oh, okay. I don't know if I'll get 40 hours in the next week, but sure. I'm happy to revisit it.
What are you talking about? You don't work.
Okay, thank you.
No, he's working hard. That's why he would play that much.
How many times do you think I'm going to bite on this troll bait in this episode? We're not even at the main topic yet about auditing the things we said that were totally wrong.
Yeah, that's true. We're getting started early. You know me.
All right, guys, that's it on the that's it on the Hitmon topics. We're still in the tall grass, and we're going to move on to Plusle or Minen.
Ooh.
So this is our segment sponsored by Double Hollow, and Jake and I are part of the team that is kind of giving feedback to Double Hollow, and they are also sponsoring this pod. A lot of very cool tools in Double Hollow, but for this Plusle or Minen segment, Jake, do you want to explain what we usually do?
Yeah, so again, we're using the research tool on Double Hollow to compare two items against each other, like how they've performed. And there's also a couple of like default stats that each item will have, like how has it performed against other sets and other cards in its own set and other sets from its generation and this kind of stuff, just to give you more data. And today we have picked both of the golden Charizards.
Yeah.
So the golden, what is it? MUR is the official title of this rarity. Is that right?
I think so.
From Phantasmal, and then the one from Ascended Heroes, so X and Y respectively. And we want to know how these cards have performed relative to the other cards in their respective sets. So Plusle or Minen, which card has done better compared to the other cards in its same set? Is it the Mega Charizard X or the Mega Charizard Y? So if you're in chat, let us know which one you think is Plusle and which one is Minen.
Yep. Yeah, let us know in the chat. So again, this the Charizard X, this one's Phantasmal, right?
Yep.
So how's it done compared to the rest of Phantasmal in the last 30 days versus the Charizard Y? How's it done compared to the other cards in Ascended Heroes?
Okay, so JTakes is saying that X would be the Plusle. It has performed better compared to the Y.
People love the X. So cool. X is up relative to the set.
I guess you're only comparing like two cards, right? For the X versus like 8 cards for the Y.
That's a good point, right? So, but I think it's just like collectively all the other cards in the set, not just like
right.
Similar rarities in this case.
We did same rarity last stream for SIRs. There was, but yeah, in this case, we're doing against the set. So let's scroll down, pull the Y, gonna say Y. Okay, legit Nixter. Yeah, this one's interesting, right? Versus the set, the X. So this is again compared to all cards in Phantasmal Flames, down 20% compared to other cards in the set. Whereas the Y is actually up compared to other cards in the set. And we're gonna talk about Ascended in just a second. It is really wild. Someone in the chat was saying Eldar Unlimited. This is stacked. Ascended is boomed. Yeah, we're about to talk about Ascended in a sec. But yeah, I mean, this is kind of interesting because these cards, I feel like they're not that popular, right? These golds, like from a collector standpoint, people don't really love them.
Yeah, I mean, just judging by their price in relationship to their rarity, like these are extremely hard to pull and hard to grade. Now, the grading plays, I know, Ern, you mentioned that the grading play on these, there's like a huge opportunity if you can get a 10. It's like 10x or more if you get a PSA 10 of either of these cards. But I think that the interesting piece here was that Phantasmal as a set has performed really well. And you would think that like the Charizards would be leading that charge. And one of them is, right? The SIR Charizard is doing really well. But this gold Charizard is like not. It's like actually, based on this data, seems like it could be pretty dang undervalued compared to what's going on with the rest of the set. Whereas the Y has just boomed alongside all this other stuff and ascended. So maybe a little bit of a play here potentially if that Charizard X is kind of in your wheelhouse, guys. Am I reading that right, Ricky?
I mean, I was just gonna say I think it probably depends. I don't remember what other cards are in Phantasmal, but that probably means like a lot of the cards in that set are actually doing well, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So those other cards are doing well, and this
not
gold
pulling
Charizard
this.
is lagging.
Yeah.
And it's amazing because this Charizard Y, everything in Ascended is also doing well, but actually even relative to that, it is outperforming slightly, which was, it was surprising to me.
I am generally a hipster on this stuff. This is the kind of stuff that I'm excited about because people won't buy in because of this data, which means it's probably a good idea to buy in.
Yeah, exactly.
Potentially.
Exactly. In my mind, this shows an opportunity on the Mega Charizard X.
Yeah. Magic Marauder has an interesting point here on like why being more rare if it's splitting hits with Dragonite. Ascended Heroes is the largest English set ever. So getting this specific card is probably harder, materially harder. And Phantasmal is a fairly small set. That probably is driving some of this on the individual card level. It's interesting point.
Yeah, that's a good point. Good point.
All
Ascended
right.
Heroes is definitely insane. Speaking of, we've got another segment sponsored by our friends over at Collector. And we have officially named this segment, guys. Hopefully you like our name. Today we're doing a segment called Pikachu's the better set. And Ern is giving us the nod of appreciation. Yes. So we're gonna Pikachu's the superior sets here, and what I'm seeing, or we wanted to start with Ascended Heroes. Because what we're seeing from Ascended is so absurd as far as the value of. So, Ricky, you have organized what, the top 23,
top 20,
the top 20 cards from Ascended Heroes into one custom portfolio here on Collector. And what we're seeing is that current market value, and again, Collector, they aggregate data also on a 30-day kind of average, which means some of the big cards from Ascended that have jumped in like the last 3 days, like the Gengar and the Forest Pikachu and the Dragonite, like they're still giving us like realistic averages where like there are sales in the 900s for both of those cards. Like Ascended Heroes right now, value is nearly like $5,300 to $5,500 for the top 20 cards.
Let's call it 56 once those comps catch up, once those sales catch up, right? Like you said, rolling average. Yeah. It's maybe in a few days, it's about to be 55, 5,600 for the top 20 cards, up 3%. It's not in the last month. We pulled this together. I prepped this 2 days ago.
Yes.
So what's interesting, we wanted to compare this, right? Pikachu's the better set. We wanted to, obviously we're going to talk about value because Ascended is almost an anomaly, but we also want to talk about like what's in the sets for some of these sets. When you actually look at the top 20, I was sort of surprised really visually looking at them, how this set holds up compared to what we consider other iconic sets from these recent modern era major sets. So we wanted to compare the Ascended top 20 to Fusion Strike's top 20.
Oof.
And we'll look at the cards in a second, but just going values here. A third of the value. Evo Sky's top 20, it has probably passed Evo Sky's top 20 based on what you just said, Jake. If not, like, check again. I'll check again in 3 days. It might have passed Evolving Sky's top 20 card value.
So it's just top 20 cards.
Just the top 20 cards by value. Yes. And Prismatic. So that's not a be all end all metric, but it's just an easy, it's a decent shorthand to kind of compare strength in these sets and how top heavy or how balanced these are. Prismatic, $4,000 for the top 20 cards. So let's look at some of these cards. Maybe let's look at Evolving Skies. I like to look at, hang on, I'm gonna go zoom out a little so we look at 5 at a time. Evolving Skies, top 20 cards look like this. Okay. Obviously, like, this is an amazing set. These top 10 cards are awesome.
Yeah.
You can't deny that they're iconic. Subjectively, I love them. Okay. But something I couldn't help but notice is how this drops off, actually. For me, in terms of coolness, but also certainly in terms of value, and sometimes subjective coolness and value are pretty linked when it comes to Pokemon card art. We get into rainbows and these full arts pretty quick around card number.
What about Noivern? That Noivern artwork is amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is. I agree. There's one amazing art in slots 13 through 20 in Evolving Skies.
Yeah.
I agree. I do like that card. The top 12 here are obviously great. When you look at Ascended.
Yeah, guys.
It's not even close, dude.
Wait, look at the bottom. Look at the bottom few in Ascended. Psyduck, like this Frostlass, the colors, the Frostlass, the Psyduck, the Hawlucha, the Scrafty. Maybe you like the Iono's Bellybolt. I'm a little personally burned out on Iono's Bellybolt, but everything else in this set is subjectively, this set is super stacked.
Yeah, super, super strong, and insane to think that it is competing in value right now. Both are obviously participating in what is an incredible Pokemon bull market. That Ascended is competing with Evolving Skies, like very arguably the best modern set of all time. Now I did see this super chat about how Ascended Heroes surpassed Evo Skies, now the second most valuable set behind Team Up for all-time set value. And like Team Up literally has a card that goes for $10,000 in a 10. Like the Lovebirds is like 3K near mint or something like that. So like, it's just, I guess what I'm getting at here is, yes, Ascended Heroes is hard to find. It's going to be very, very tough to find it at retail, but like, this is why. This is a set that is actively in print. Everyone knows that the vast majority of time, cards go down in value after the first handful of months. And yet these cards are just defying all logic. One of the deepest sets of all time. And I also think, on top of the fact that we have these beautiful artworks, all these cards are legitimately very hard to pull. Like,
yeah, these
cards are rare. And
worse than Prismatic?
Similar to Prismatic, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, there's a reason why people are opening these Ascended Heroes packs in mass, including myself. I do not degen on packs often, but every time I get Ascended Heroes, man, I'm ripping that stuff. It's so great. I pulled the Frog.
I hit the Gengar my first ETB.
Dang!
What'd you do?
I got a 9. I got a 9. I just cracked it and sent it back in.
Yeah.
I'm going to do that like 5 times. Yeah. I'm literally going to do it like 5 times.
Yeah, you're in the money no matter what.
Yeah.
Incredible stuff. So, yeah, shout out to Collector for the ability to create these portfolios and compare these sets to each other, but we wanted to highlight Ascended Heroes just being absolutely bonkers right now. Bonkers. Who knows what that means as far as what action you should take on this, but like, here's the info, guys. Do with it what you will.
Tiny Flame had mentioned, so I this is my personal collector account and I don't have pro, so maybe Jake, we need to get in touch with them to just like figure out, add pro to this account so we can show when we hit max on I guess you can hit max on these graphs. and we'd
Yes.
be able to kind of see how that looked at release, which was something.
Yeah. I believe I have Pro, so yeah, we can do that, or we can hit them up and make sure we both get it. So we'll for sure do that.
Awesome. Yeah, cool. Sweet. Thanks our friends at Collector for that. Our next one here is I'll boot the screen share for this one. We're gonna wrap up our tall grass on taking a chancey. So for the chat, this is in some ways the precursor potentially sometimes of the Clefumble segment, the very beloved Clefumble segment that's been a really regular fixture of a lot of our streams. Take a chancey as a play that we've kind of speculated on something, or Ern kind of gave us a take a chancey earlier with the Squirtle stamped promo. So hopefully he's got another one, but something that we're kind of speculating on, that we took a shot on, and we don't know yet if it's totally a W or totally an L. And maybe while you guys do, I'm going to run to the restroom because we've got a lot of main topic to talk about, but maybe one of you guys start and I'll be back in a sec.
Yeah, I want to hear what Ern's got. He's got Squirtle promos. You got more risks that you're taking right now, Ern?
That's the thing, Ricky. I always speculate.
That's right. Ern, you're a collector, vendor, grader, speculator,
degenerate. Sorry, there's another segment after this. I'm just trying to get my ducks in a row.
Yeah, so this is take a chancey, and then the one we do at the very end is the elite forecast.
Okay, I'm going to save those. Okay. So, as the story goes, I used to buy a lot of XY and Sun and Moon and Black and White Japanese.
Mm-hmm.
And I held on to it for years. And it was literally cement. Did not go up, barely went down, easy to buy, no flatlined. Up until this last boom, everything started to do well, and so I knew I had to reconcile my decisions. So, I have 4 here. I have a couple more, like, in the works.
Ooh.
These are just, Blasty Boys.
Beautiful.
XY, full arts.
So are
Japanese.
These first editions unlimiteds?
This one is unlimited. And I am currently grading the Charizard. I have the Venusaur, and I'm grading the Charizard right now. Or I'm going to grade the Charizard soon. So I will have potentially a finished unlimited set that I'm going to keep.
Yeah.
The rest of these are first edition. First set is like Pop 500. But they were seriously $200, $250 forever.
Jeez.
So I bought these. I think lowest listing is like $800 or $900 now.
So what's the play? Is it just to sit on those ones till they appreciate? Is there a number that you want them to get to before you make a move?
Probably 2.5 times is what I aim for. Just, I mean, my general thinking is like, once you get to items up to like 3K, they're all kind of the same. So you have to be really careful and like what you keep and what you speculate on. And then the next kind of gate is like 5 to 6K and then up to 10K. So, like, realistically, I don't ever think these cards are going to be 5K cards. I mean, I want them to be.
Sure.
But I'm still operating with the sense of, like, hey, let's just be a little realistic. And, I don't think they're going to get to that point. But
how much off the top of your head does a sealed box of that Japanese XY set cost?
It's probably around $2 to $2.5.
So $2,500.
Yeah, if you can find it.
And then the main chase, if you got it graded, is like...
Yeah, the main chase so there's the Collection X and Collection Y. Collection X has the Blastoise, I believe.
Yep.
No, Collection X has the Venusaur, and Collection Y has the Blastoise.
Yeah. And so the main chase, like, you pull it and grade it, and you still lose like 75% of your investment in the box.
Yeah, that's the case, or that was the case for like most mid-era to X and Y boxes.
Yeah,
because the boxes are worth like 2 to 4 times the top chase in a PSA 10. That's changing now, though. It's slowly starting to flip.
Exactly right.
Especially for unlimited.
The reason I ask that is because that used to also be the same exact situation with almost any English Gen 3 pack or box, like. And then now that we have this low pop boom that has kind of flipped the script. Like, you can actually grade some of these cards, and if they come back at 10, then you've done really well. Obviously, the gold stars like the Rayquaza have always been that way. You know, you open a heavy Deoxys pack, but there's a lot more packs that make a lot more sense now.
Yeah.
You know, I had somebody walk up to my table this past weekend. They had opened like 8 of the fire red leaf green packs. And one of the reverses that they got was a Clefairy, and he graded it, and it came back a 10. And like that card, it's just like a common reverse. It's like $1,000 card now. And so like you can do poorly, but still, you know, recover some because the market has moved, which makes me think that maybe that's going to be the case for your Blastoise and Venusaur in the future. You know,
I hope so.
That's a cool play.
So many of those Gen 3 like common reverses are like pop 2 or 3. So that's you know, and once the attention went to that, even pop doesn't matter obviously, but there's something to be said for that, the rarity of some of those in a 10.
Yeah. Well, I've got a big take a chancey that I'm excited to share. Maybe we can finish and do yours at the last, Ricky, if that's okay.
Totally.
Okay, so here's the story. I'm at the show this weekend, and I take a couple of chances. One of the things that I did is a guy walks up with a full art Mario PSA 10 poncho, and I don't think I have ever owned one. I'm trying to think if I've ever owned a full art Mario. I don't think I had. I've owned all the others, but not the Mario. And so we work a deal out, and it includes a lot of cash. He takes a PSA 9 first edition Umbreon from Neo from me, and then the rest is cash. So it's like over 20K in cash, I think, on top of that card. And I'm like worried because I'm like, dude, like this could be the tip top of the Mario market. Like it's selling for $31,000 to $33,000 online, one singular card. And I'm like, wow, like I don't know if I've made the right play. So we bought the card on Saturday, and then, you know, it's on in our case on Sunday. Well, as I'm walking around the show, maybe like an hour before we leave, I spot this little number in somebody's display case.
Isn't that pop like 2 or something? Pop 5?
This is a pop 8 Tyranitar EX from Pop Series 1, English PSA 10. This is an insano grail. Like insano. And I have no data to go off of what it's worth. No data. Like I think one sold sometime early last year for like 10K. And the vendor told me that they had a couple of offers during the show in like the 50 to 60 range that didn't end up coming to pass for different reasons. And I was like, you know what? I have a couple of big cards in my case, one of which I got for a really good deal long before the big boom. I had a Crystal Nidoking PSA 10 that I got like in, I think October, something like that, November. So I paid like 7K for it, and it's now worth like nearly 20K. And I've just kind of had it. And so I was like, you know what? Like, I may never get the right opportunity to get this Tyranitar again. And so I rolled the Tyranitar and the Mario into the I rolled the Mario and the Nidoking into the Tyranitar.
Is that for your brother?
No, it's not a gift for anybody, but like it's just one of these cards that, like, for all I know, like I either cooked myself, or to the right buyer, this thing might be like $100,000. Like, who even knows? It's a legitimate grail, extremely, extremely rare. Yeah, shout out getting a nice birthday gift for Trey. Yeah, that's all it is a gift. No,
it's the most expensive Tyranitar card, right?
But easily
by far,
most
right?
Most it's the rarest silver border EX card in English.
Can you show it on screen again?
Yeah,
it's actually really pretty.
Yeah.
Oh, and it has the hollow around the edges.
Yep, the Cosmos foil, and like I don't want to flex or anything, but like it's a 4 cert, but it is legitimately very, very clean on the back. Like it deserved the 10. It deserves the 10 today as much as it did then. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't know what it's worth. I don't know what someone would pay for it. We're taking a big chancey on it.
Crack it and put it in a binder, dude.
Oh, is it real?
Yeesh.
JK, gosh, I hope so. Otherwise I'd have to make a third video about buying fake stuff and being the stupidest guy ever.
Yeah. Wow.
Wait,
Well,
what was the second?
Evolving Skies booster boxes.
Oh yeah, I didn't catch that one. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
man.
No, I'll spare you. I bought
yeah.
fake Evolving Skies booster boxes. Anyways, yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful card. So that we own it now. That's all I can say.
congrats on the pickup, man.
We'll see.
Oh well, congrats on the pickup either way. You get to be the steward of that, the custodian of that card for
That's
some
power, man.
Yeah,
That's some
man.
influence.
Exactly.
It is. It's got aura for sure.
Nice. Love it. And you're just hoping some of that will rub off on you.
Yes. Yeah, I'm not sure how to respond to that, but yes.
That was good.
Well, you know, this is the second, maybe third stream in a row where you've decided you insisted on going before me, and then you've left me to follow up. Like, you know, it's like a comedy set where like I have to go after someone who absolutely destroyed, and I'm just gonna be worse.
The other thing, Ricky, is the last time you and I had a stream, I said that I was gonna be done buying speculative cards. I've now spent like so much money on 2 extremely speculative cards each weekend since then. It's so dumb. So we'll see.
Like, and 2 salaries worth of
salaries worth with no comps to be seen.
Perfect. I'm excited to see how these go for you, man. I genuinely am.
Yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Mine is this.
Oof.
Ooh.
Thanks, guys. You don't have to act that excited. You don't have to put on a performance for me. Black Label. Thank you. Black Label, Terastal, Umbreon. So the Take a Chansey. So why is it a Take a Chansey? I was watching some of these thinking, well, I was kind of looking at what the Stamp Box Pikachu did, because that Black Label is like pop 300 something. And just watching that price climb, I was like, okay, population doesn't matter. What else is sort of like this? And I thought of this card. I love this card, and it has about 100, 110 or something pop. So it's objectively, it's rare. It's not extremely rare for a Black Label. So it's a little speculative because these sell often enough, and the prices when they're on auction bounce around like 2.5K, like 40% swings, and like week to week. So I did win one of the lowest auctions recently. So I'm into it at what I feel like is a good price. I paid it, let's say, in the 5s. There was a sale. There was an auction like a week ago at 7.9. So if you take that price, then I Take a Chansey was OW. The most recent sale, I think, was like 5.6 or 7. Relatively close to within 5 or 10%, 5% of what I paid. So I don't know yet. We'll see how it goes. I have not had many bites. I posted on a few story sales, brought it to 1 show so far, but in the meantime, I'm happy to own it. I'm not really too worried about it, but I think there's just there's a non-zero chance that I end up to sell it. I have to take close to what I paid for it if enough auctions close in the mid to high 5s, which more often than not, they're sort of in that mid 5 to mid 6 range. And there's every so often it'll just sell for 7.9.
Yeah.
I applaud you.
Do you?
It's a good Take a Chance. I mean, it's a good card. There's some instant arbitrage there. Very popular artwork. I think it's a good play.
I would not speculate on Black Labels. I just don't. I'm too afraid of them. That's it.
Fair enough. I like them. I'm not too afraid. I don't know. I'm not too afraid of them. It's just that on average, they're just so expensive, right? I mean, even cheap ones are still really expensive. So there's definitely room to lose if you pick something unpopular. And that was sort of why I was looking for these opportunities in like relatively available popular Japanese cards. Just giving it a go, taking a chancey.
Yeah. I did. Yeah. I have very rare experience, very limited experience with black labels. One of them is with you, Ricky.
Yeah.
And I did actually sell the set, the Pikachu and the Cramorant, this past weekend, and we did really well. So I think black labels can be a big win, and there's certainly a collector base out there for them.
Agreed. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, Tiny Flame asking long-term hold, black label, BV Max from EV Heroes is up there in price. It's not that it's a long-term hold. It's in my inventory with a price sticker on it. I have I would take 7,500 for it. Right? I previously had a sticker of about 8, and then there was a low sale, so I brought it down a little bit. I would take 7,500 for it. That'd be a good win for me. If I can't sell it for that, then sure, it becomes a long-term hold. It's that's sort of the gist. Is like it's hanging out in my inventory, and if it ends up a long-term hold, it ends up a long-term hold. But that's not the intention. It's in my inventory.
Yeah, I like it.
Thank you. Okay, guys, that's it for the tall grass. We are exiting the tall grass. What are we at? An hour and a half. Okay, we're doing great on time.
We're doing well.
We're doing well. So our main topic today, there's a lot of ways we could think about or frame or tee up this main topic, and we might all end up teeing it up to some extent. But I think, Jake, you went with the title of "We had no idea what the Pokemon hobby would turn into." The original idea was sort of like revisiting what we talked about 7 months ago. Our fourth stream of the Midweek Machamps. Ern, I believe, was our first guest ever for that. And the topic was something like, is full-time Pokemon a viable business? Is Pokemon reselling a real business kind of thing? And so we had some takes at the time, and things have changed in the market and ourselves. And we wanted to sort of revisit some of the things we said last time and see what's changed. And also just generally, it doesn't have to be comparison to last time. It can just be wherever the conversation takes us on this idea of, boy, oh boy, have we been on a ride the last 6 or 7 months. And what does that mean for that idea, the viability of a Pokemon reselling business?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that stream, and I remember feeling like I was fighting a losing battle, because both of you guys were very confident that it wasn't the right thing for you to like dive headfirst professionally into the hobby. And obviously your choice then and now, that all your choices are totally valid. You have responsibilities and things to think about that I do not. We all have different lives. But I remember like feeling like I was kind of speaking and it was kind of falling a little bit on deaf ears, because it was like, no, Jake, like whatever you're doing is not applicable to us. We've got these other things going on. So I'm excited for this. And the reason that I went with, we had no idea what the Pokemon hobby would turn into, is because regardless of what's going on with us personally, there have been a lot of things that have happened, in the Pokemon hobby environment, both with the market and with new businesses popping up and with new connections that we've made and new things that we individually have learned that make some of the things that maybe we said with a lot of confidence back then just not applicable or not even true. One of those things that I said, that I'm pretty sure, at least as I remember back, was a little bit of like a retort to something that Ern said, because Ern mentioned that like in order for it to make sense financially, you'd have to sell a huge volume every single month and pull those proceeds out of your kind of inventory snowball, and that just kind of defeats the business every month because you're having to kind of remove value. I remember saying something like, well, you need to make content along with also having a buy sell trade business, because then you can kind of have a following, and that can it can kind of feed your access to inventory and shows and stuff, but then it can also provide maybe a revenue source if your channel's monetized or if you have sponsors and those kinds of things. And I remember thinking that was a big part of it, because I actually really, really believed that. One of the reasons that Franny and I decided that it was okay for me to quit my job in 2024 was that we had gotten more traction on social media. And, like it or not, the AdSense piece plus potentials for sponsorships, like that is a recurring revenue. It's not always the same amount every month, but it's recurring revenue for your business, or it's just income for your personal, that is much more similar to having a day job than, a big windfall here and there from selling cards and having margin. And so like having those put together, I was like, okay, that makes it more viable. But since then, guys, I have met so many people who are full-time in this hobby and are doing extremely well. They're shrewd, they're making plays, the plays are paying off, and they have zero social media following, or if they do, it's just for like Instagram networking purposes. They're not monetizing content in any way, and they're doing great. And oftentimes they bring way cooler stuff to these shows than me. So like, what am I doing wrong? So that was one thing I definitely was wrong about.
You traded into it, the Pop 8 T-Tar. That's the first mistake.
Yeah, I got bamboozled into this Grail card by someone with no social media following. Like, what am I doing?
See, guys, Pokemon is easy. All you have to do is destroy Jake with
just scam big time YouTubers, and then you're gonna be fine. Oh my god.
Well, so hang on. One other thing I want to frame up before we get deeper into this, because I love that idea. Do you need to be making content, revisiting it? We should address some of the maybe elephants in the room on what has changed for us, which is I did quit my job. I'd say yesterday I had my first full day, weekday, where I wasn't on vacation. I wasn't in the car. I woke up and I had nowhere to be and no meetings and no one to report to. And I had to decide, what am I going to do in my Pokemon business today? Yesterday was my first day of doing that. And Ern, in your videos, you've done a few videos lately where you've said things like, hey, if this current job didn't work out, you would probably give it a go. Or if you knew back then, if things were back then how they are now, that you might have given it a try at that time when you had the opportunity and you were kind of in a transition. And but you are still in your career and doing this as a side thing. I very freshly made it a full-time thing. So I just want to make sure that the chat has that context, because you've all, anyway, that's it. I don't know if there's anything else you guys want to add to that as a tee up.
I just want to add really quickly before Ern jumps in that you woke up on your first ever day not having a real job and just played Pokemon battles on the internet for a few hours.
No. That was the second day. That was today.
Yeah.
Champions released last night. Yesterday, I couldn't have done it yesterday, but that's true. On my second day, I did do that.
I have a friend, Retro. You guys know Retro.
Yeah.
And he'll text me like, I got to such and such rank in League of Legends, and I respond, there's no way this is a positive EV decision for your business playing League of Legends. It's funny. I'm just giving him crap. Let's see. I think the elephant in the room is like, what changed is we have seen an incredible amount of growth that no one could have predicted. And even back then, if you take the world's best experts, if you take like Warren Buffett, if you take like Catch 'em All Collectibles, if you take anyone across like stock market, finance markets, Pokemon markets, if they sat down and told me that this was going to grow, I still would not have believed them. The probability I would assign to what they're saying is like very low, because we just saw so much growth. And it's like, there's a point where you have to either hedge yourself or you're so insulated that you can accept the risk. And, if it does start to retrace, and you can absorb it. And like the challenge for me at the time is like, I didn't have a lot of insulation, right? I don't stream. I rarely go to shows. And when I do, that's when I do a lot of buying and selling, right? So I don't have like a consistent way of producing, like, here's how much money I can expect to make per hour of output. So that was then, right? And so looking back, if the market was different how it is now, then like, yeah, it would have made complete sense, because everyone's cards like went up. I mean, the last 3 months, like there's cards that have gone up like 3 to 5x. The last 6 months, 7 months, it's like 5 to 10x, like legitimately. Like I don't think people understand that there's cards that literally used to go for like a few thousand, they're now $10,000+, right?
Yeah.
So like that was a big change that I did not predict, but I made the right decision at the time with the information I had. I've changed careers, living situations, like life is a little bit different now. Would I decide to go full time if I were not in my current position? Yeah, probably. But I also like love the company I work for, the work I do now. And so the trade-off is not necessarily straightforward. I still don't know day to day what I would do full time. I do know that I would spend a lot of money, and in doing so, I'd make a lot of money. But like day to day, like I don't know, like how much sourcing can you do? How much can you actually hit up people on IG? How much can you actually be on eBay? Like it's it's different when you can squeeze that in between a work day, But if you're doing it full time, like I'll probably just end up playing Pokemon Champions or something, Like I'm serious. Like I would probably do the same thing because I wouldn't know where to actually start and stop. Sorry, I just smashed my keyboard and pressed 0 in the chat. So lots changed, and I would say the biggest thing that the biggest thing that is different now that people don't understand is that since so money has been made, it's not like a great get rich quick scheme where people make money and they left. It's money that stayed in the hobby. And so like every business from like streaming to digital mystery rips to vending to card shops, like all those businesses are flourishing. They have money that's actually stayed in the ecosystem. Yeah. So like in the case that there were to be a downturn or something bad to happen, it would probably take a lot of time for people to actually feel that because there's just so much money everywhere. It's not like this is people compare collectibles to crypto. It's not like it's a crypto scheme and like someone's going to rug pull and everyone's screwed. Like there's just so many avenues of revenue generation that changes in the market are not going to be sudden. At least, relatively speaking. Is a card going to lose like $5,000 in value? Yeah, because it's probably a $50,000 card. Like to some people, that's a lot. To some other people, that's just how the hobby works. So I think we just have more data, and a lot of that data has led to more confidence. And a lot of that confidence has basically just shown that like we are a hobby that's here to stay. It's not a scam. There's legitimate ways to make money. But I do want to call out one thing, and that's I think people who look at what we do, what the hobby is, and they're just kind of limping in. I don't want to say like bottom of the totem pole, but I mean like you're kind of sort of vending, you're kind of sort of streaming, you're not really like what's the comparison? Instead of like building the franchise or supplying the business with materials, like let's take McDonald's, right? Instead of trying to be like their potato supplier or supplying them with hamburgers, right? You're just like working there. I think there's a lot of people in that position that they're going to get the most wrecked if anything changes because those roles are replaceable. Those roles rely on, market value and reselling of things at the most straightforward level. And I think everyone else, Jake, you're a good example. People we know who run streaming operations, like they're not just doing like the day-to-day thing where they just, go vend and then they go home and then they pick it up again a few weeks later and they have like some inventory that might sell. Like everyone we know has like a full-fledged operation around how do you like churn and burn? How do you buy and sell? How do you go to shows regularly? And I think that is the installation that people who are successful have. But the people who don't really have that, I think you carry the most risk if things were to change.
Yeah. I'm just going to bring up a counterpoint to that, Ern, and it's very well said. And I have, created the business that we're operating now with a lot of those principles in mind, right? Like, how do I build a moat around what we're trying to accomplish here? Employing siblings and living a comfortable life and all that kind of stuff. How do I protect that in the event of market downturns? And my counterpoint to what you're saying is the people that are the vast majority, from what I'm seeing, of the people who are operating their business with a bit more reckless abandon than I am are also the same people who are just in a totally different stage of life. A lot of them have a lot less responsibility. They're people who have gotten into the hobby and experienced a level of success, and either they have experienced only like marginal success or maybe just kind of failure in other places. And now that they're here and they're experiencing success, they're like, that's why they've kind of stuck around. It's like the best thing that has really happened to them. And so like they're in it. And so, but they're also a lot of times really young and just like, making it happen, just trying to live a good life and not necessarily thinking about the version of themselves 10 to 20 years from now, which is the kind of thinking that us three and others that are like us are doing, right? We have families and responsibilities and spouses and, either kids or at least very big future financial plans for financial freedom and, owning real estate and all those kinds of things. We're different than a lot of the people that we do things different from. And if I was looking at those kinds of people, I wouldn't necessarily recommend that they do things like me. In fact, if I was more like them and I was in my early 20s, or some of these people are like legit, like out here slinging big cardboard at like 18 years old, flying around the country and stuff. They just have way less to lose, or at least they feel like they do, and that's a really cool place to be in. It's not the place that we're in, but the reason I'm saying this is that like a lot of the caveats and a lot of the risk management that us three think about is simply not applicable to every person out there.
I agree with that.
And so like that's why this conversation was so valuable 6-7 months ago. It was because we weren't just saying, going full time is good, going full time is bad. It is going full time is right for me now. Going full time is not right for me now. And that's why this is an interesting conversation, because it's so nuanced and differs person to person.
Ern, you talked about some insulating factor. What do you feel are the most? Someone I think had asked in the chat about insulating factors, right? Like, what do you think those are? Is it content? Is it building the business a certain way? Is it time that you've been in, right? Because if you're entering right now, is different. Like, I don't know. I haven't given a ton of critical thought to that, so I don't know if you have. Sorry to put you on the spot. But.
It's a broad thing, but it's essentially like how many current benefits and avenues do you have that support your business in the case that the market changes? So, if we just start at the buying front, consistently buying at a percentage is like over time is a good insulation, right? And there's some people who don't do that. They'll vary just because they want inventory. And there's some people, especially the ones who are backed by the different, mystery bag products, right? They will always buy at least at this percentage. And I think like that's probably the most obvious that anyone can do, but you do that enough over time and like you have built such a big percent margin in your favor that if anything does go bad, like how bad is it going to get based on the cards you're buying, right? Is it going to go down 20, 25%? Probably not. Are they going to go up 100, 200%? It's very possible, right? So they're already accepting and walking into some of these cards where it's like, I've already bought it at a discount. I've already pocketed that margin. Anything I get from here is probably going to be upside. Like that's one version of insulation. Another is the ability to sell through to like, pick your clients, right? There are people who literally buy slabs and they ship those slabs to someone else and it's already pre-sold. Like not a lot of people actually can do that, right? Usually we're all like on IG sending messages to people, going to vendors. But there's businesses where like all they do is source for someone else. They take their margin. They carry zero risk. They've already sold it. They send it to a streamer. They send it to a rip and shipper or whoever, a mystery bag product. And like their hands are clean. They've already made their margin. And like the chances of them getting wrecked if the market turns is like very little because it's already pre-sold, right? It's already gone. I think rip and ship businesses in general, how much they're able to churn and burn product. If anything were to change in the market, I mean, hopefully you don't get caught holding too much inventory that becomes illiquid, but their ability to constantly sell and sell through the things that they buy on a weekly basis is like that's a huge advantage, right? Because let's say 151 spikes, you can hold back that 151 for a little bit, and now you've just increased additional margin, right? Or let's say you're seeing that sell through is starting to slow down. That means next week or the week after, you're going to slow down buying, right? So if you're not plugged in, I think the bigger point is like if you're not plugged in, you can't actually do a lot of that. And if you can't do a lot of that, when the market changes, most people are going to be spectators to what happens, but the ones who are actually insulated can actually take action and further reduce the risk that is going to, the impact of that risk that's going to happen on their businesses.
Yeah, it's a great
So
point.
just some examples, right? It's like, what leverages do you have? What advantages do you have? What benefits do you have as someone who's actually active as a seller?
Mhm.
I think ultimately that's really what it comes down to.
When you say plugged in, like I can think of a few ways to be plugged in, right? You do a lot of volume on some website, so you know what's hot, right? What's moving. You're sort of plugged in that sense. You're going to shows very often, so you're kind of like finger on the pulse of what the sentiment is in that room. You're a creator, you have a following, so you get comments or questions about certain topics, and you start to see patterns in those. What are people asking about? What are people interested in? Like, what are those the kinds of things you mean when you say plugged in, or like what does plugged in look like? What does that
I
mean?
think they all contribute, but there can be a lot of recency bias, echo chamber, like sentiment, local area, like localized sentiment, where like things that happen in the Bay are not the same things that happen in the Midwest or like
True.
at collecticons, right?
True.
But all that is data, and ultimately, like if the more that you have, it can help. But it's better to have some than none, or it's also better to have some of your own than relying on a YouTuber to tell you what's going on, or you hear it from a friend of a friend who listened to a YouTube video. So all that, I truly believe it can only help if you know how to parse through like what's general noise and nonsense versus like, hey, there's actually something here.
Yeah, I love that take, and a great example of that. What is noise versus what is actually applicable? I think is your take from earlier, Ern, which is the advent of these digital rip mystery pack companies. Like we all, for a handful of months, felt some type of way about them, morally and otherwise. But like actual business impact is that those companies have flourished and introduced more liquidity to the graded card market than we all could have ever expected. And that's been a net boon to the stability of the market. And whether you feel some type of way about it or not, doesn't really matter. And maybe you need to divorce yourself from that amount of emotional thinking and really just make decisions based on what you think it will actually do dollars and cents to the cards that you're trying to buy, sell, and trade. And if that's what we all would have done, then we all would have just kind of written it off maybe a bit more as flavor of the week. And this is maybe good for all of us to some degree, instead of maybe what we saw on social media, which was a lot of outrage.
Ern, I want to maybe revisit some of the things that we've all said last time, and something you said last time, and you said it again today,
Uh-oh.
is you wouldn't know how to fill up the time. And I can't even, like, I'm already like feel booked out to June. Like I know exactly what I can fill the time up with. And yesterday when I had that first full day and I did not wake up to play video game, I worked about 9 to 6 on the business, like kind of like any other job, quote unquote. I did 15 things and I felt behind the entire time until I wrapped it up at 6. And I
That's
was like,
exactly what it's like every freaking day.
yeah, that's what it feels like. So I'm like, it's so fascinating to hear you say you don't know what you would fill the time with. And I thought maybe you would correct like that, you would walk that back. But I'm fascinated to hear you say it again. Like, why do you, can you talk me through that?
I
Because like,
mean,
I don't have this problem.
part of it's like I only know what I know. And so if I were to go to full time, I would probably negotiate with my wife, hey, I need to go to 2 events a month. Okay. I don't think about that now, right? So
Yeah,
that's
agreed.
obviously like a time commitment. There's prep
That's
for
exactly
that.
what I've done, for what it's worth. Exactly what I've done. I'm going to go to about 2 a month. And that was a conversation with my wife. So agreed.
Yeah. I would probably buy more. I mean, I think like I'm also thinking of it like within the confines of like what I'm able to do today. And so like part of that's like I just don't know what I don't know. I'm sure I will, when I say I don't know what I would do, like it's also kind of like I'm not really it's unclear, but I'm sure I'll probably figure something out. I mean, I think also some of it's kind of like imposter syndrome. It's like I don't know what else I could be doing if I had that free time. Like, are there other, like, should I be streaming? Should I not? Should I be grading more? Should I just like, I just don't have a clear picture of it now. But
Yeah.
truthfully, if I were to go to full time, I would figure out how to make use of most of the time. I would also be like you, probably play video games on the side. Like, truthfully, like I would. I have not played games in years. I dropped games for cards. It's terrible. I literally have purchased like Arc Raiders, still haven't played it to this day. But I wouldn't feel bad about that. But it's I'm sure there would be a lot for me to do. It's just hard right now to visualize it because I've already doing what I can with the time that I have.
Yeah, it makes sense. I get what you're saying. Like, something that I've heard before from business leaders and business owners is like this idea of, I could sit down at a whiteboard and come up with 100 great ideas for my business, all of which would ruin my business. Like, the reality is you need to prioritize, like, these are the 3 things that are getting the most attention right now. I know for some people that do this, they structure specific, like, Tuesday is editing day, Wednesday is this kind of day, Thursday is kind of day.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm going to do that, but I do live by my calendar. And so I have been time blocking, like, I'm going to spend an hour at this. I think this is going to take 2 hours, that kind of thing.
Have you heard of this saying, work will expand the time that you give it?
I have. I was interested in talking to you about this because I think you said something like about yourself that
Yeah.
that the time, the scarcity of the time and the urgency that drives actually helps you stay productive and focused with that time.
Yeah. I'm a by definition these days they call them like a hyperproductive ADHD person, which means I need my own parameters in place in my own ways and I'll be very productive. But if you give me like a bunch of time, I'll figure out how to waste it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, that's a very common phenomenon in the going from side hustle to full-time business in any vertical, not just Pokemon. People think that doubling hours and focus will double the outputs. And then what actually just happens is like they actually do the exact same amount of stuff in twice the amount of hours. Because like you said, they squander more of it or they move slower because there's not that urgency and time pressure. I guess that comes down to a sort of individual personality thing. For me, it's so good.
I was just say, because Jake asked me last time, don't you think you can do more with the 40 hours that you use during corporate if you were to do more in the cards business? And I said, I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably, but not twice as much work.
I think where I was coming from with that, Ern, is that like I completely agree with the sentiment that like, yeah, it's unless the wolf is at the door and you're like financially struggling, it's very easy to potentially get complacent if things are going well. But I also subscribe to the idea that you're gonna have to create some sort of structure around your days and your weeks, and inevitably, whatever kind of business you create, in order for it to be successful and have longevity, is going to look something like a corporate, structure, right? Like there's a reason that those companies succeed. It's because they're in order and there's hierarchies and there's schedules and there's calendars, right? So, I mean, for us, we've got like, weekly meetings where we come together on what's going to happen that week and content schedules. And we've got, the events that we've already committed to booked from now all the way until December. And we stream on Tuesdays and we do Midweek Machamps on every other Wednesday. And it's like, by the time you commit to doing those things regularly, the upkeep and, minute improvements you can make, and that on top of the fact that you're, managing a business from like a legal and tax perspective and all those other kinds of things, like your time definitely gets filled. And I think that like the answer to your question is like, what would you fill your time with on day one? The answer is, well, what's working now? And just try to do more of that. Because if you're doing something that is gaining you revenue at an outsized rate compared to other things, you just double down on that until you get diminishing returns. And that's what a lot of people do. Like people who are streaming on the side, if they're killing it, then they're like, well, maybe I'll just try streaming full time. And then they do, and then it ends up working out for them or not working out. And, you know, if it's vending or if it's content creation or if some mix of all of them, you know, and so that's kind of the answer to that question. But like, the part that I really want to circle back to is, knowing what you know now and knowing how successful a lot of your speculation plays have been, and the fact that that's proving out to be you know, a character, a trait that you have, like being able to see things and to make really educated guesses financially, like with your Blastoises. I remember some of my favorite content of yours was when you were noticing the print quality on the new Mega Evolutions set and thinking, oh, like these SIRs are gradable. And so I want to go to Card Party and buy like a grip of these gradable SIRs and get them off and be first to market. Like if you're doing that on top of some of the regular stuff, like, you know, a little more vending and, you know, sourcing and that kind of stuff, like you already have a knack for that. And knowing that you've been so right in a lot of those plays, do you still feel like you would be in a situation where like you're having to kind of shoot yourself in the foot every single month by taking out some big chunk of value in order to, you know, cover living expenses and take care of your family and stuff? Or do you feel like your creativity could really meet that demand and everything else would just be frosting on top?
If I didn't put in more capital in the business, then I would not do that. But if I had the opportunity to, then I totally would. I mean, my wife and I talk about this all the time. She's like, so how much do you think you can grow this money by? And I'm like, 3 months. And she's like, I'm sorry, what did you just say? I'm like, 3 months. And she means like 1.5 or 2 times or whatever, you know, whatever the amount is, right?
Right.
And but the challenge is like, if I don't have additional capital, I can't do all those things. And I never considered, because I think I told you guys a story. I have not put money in the business since 2021.
Yeah.
I'm free rolling, like do all this stuff on the house. I've not had to put more money in. So it never really crossed my mind like, oh, well, what if I were to liquidate some of the investments and retirement stuff? What if I just infuse the business with like, I don't know, $100,000 or something, $250,000? I never thought about that because I've always kept the business as like this thing that is somehow free for me.
Yeah.
If I did do that, then 100%, I definitely see that. And, you know, given all the activity that's happening right now, I'm actually getting a lot of FOMO around like, I need to be super liquid because, I mean, you're seeing this like probably every weekend.
Yeah.
There are some cards like you look at, you're like, dude, I swear that was $1,000 last week, or however many, whatever the number was. So, if I had that capital and I decided to infuse it into the business, I totally think so. I will say though, I still am not like mega bullish on all this long term. I am willing to accept though that like this is the current state and I won't be the one of the last ones out. And so because both are true, I feel okay taking on more risk. But I'm still very like, guys, if I see signs based off of all the data points I have, like I'm going to slowly walk away and just take a breather. I'm not like, hey, this is going to keep going for the next 5 or 10 years. I still don't think like that.
You know, one thing that I mentioned, sorry, Ricky, but one thing I mentioned in a different pod months ago was that I want to be solving for meeting the demand of the next boom and not this current boom. And I said that back when I thought that it might make sense that the next boom is 5 years from now. And that was last year when I was like, man, like we're seeing all-time highs on all this stuff. And now last year's all-time highs make today's prices look like freaking deals, like just steals and discounts. Like if I made a video where I bought a PSA 10 Silver Border EX for last year's price, but I did it at a show this past weekend, I would get eviscerated by the comment section. Eviscerated on a thinly traded speculative card that maybe has 4 public comps since the one that I would be paying on. I would be destroyed because the mentality of the population of people who are paying attention to these cards is so wrapped up in what did it last sell for most recently and what could I get out of it maximum value today. And so I still believe that solve for the boom that's next time. And I still arrange my business in a way that would make that boom, if it happened 3 to 5 years from now, like that's kind of what we're playing for. So if we have multiple years of downturn, we're still going to be okay. And what that does for me is it means that if the next boom is actually just an extension of this current boom and it happens all the way through this year until next year, then it's just like, wow, then our timetables are just escalated for whatever we want to do long-term financially. But it also means that if I have to be, more realistic and play the more traditional entrepreneurial game of like, okay, this is going to take more than 5, more than 10, more than 15 years to really work out, in comparison to just taking a corporate job in the 6-figure range, then we're prepared to do that. It wouldn't feel as exciting, but we're prepared to do that. So when you say stuff like, I'm not necessarily bullish on all this stuff long-term and I won't be the last one out, what timetable are you talking about? Like, are you in the camp of Pokemon is not valuable 20 years from now?
I mean, no, definitely not. It's more so like my timetable is related to like, is the new standard for a top chase from a modern set going to be $5,000?
But you're already not playing in that world. Like you might participate.
I am going to start. Have you seen the Phantasmal Charizard?
Yes. But what I'm saying is your business isn't hinged on the performance of that card.
Yeah, right.
Like you're not playing that game. You might get to participate in it and like get some of that frosting on top when it happens, but you're not living and dying by the Phantasmal Charizard.
Yeah. I don't think there's a. Dude, I don't even know what I was doing 5 years ago. I don't know what the timetable is. I'm more of like a feel and see, feel it out, see it, type of guy. So like, I just know that like I wouldn't make statements like, "Oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna be doing this for 20 years." It's like, I mean, honestly, I would hope not. Like, if the hobby's doing that well, 20 years from now, I would hope I figure out how to make a strong exit and just like chill out a bit because
sure,
I want to travel, I want to vend, I want to do all this stuff, but not for the next dude. Vending takes the life out of you.
My wife is watching the program and saying amen to every word you're saying right now. She's like, we're so done. We're tired.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't really have a timetable. It's just like, it's more so I'm realistic. Will I be here 20 years from now doing this? Not in the same way, I think.
Sure.
But we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, of course. I mean, those things need to evolve all the time. So this topic is really interesting because one of the main things I said last time that changed, but it was probably like the number one factor for me at that time for why I was not going full time, was that it felt to me like pro athletics. You go hard at it for 3 years while it's in this crazy boom. You make $750K to $1 million for 3 years and you get out. Like your knee's busted, you can't possibly do it anymore, whatever. So I looked at it that way. Like I want to make 5x what I normally make for 3 to 5x for a few years and then get out. And the main thing that changed for me was an increase in the confidence in what this looks like, even through ebbs and flows over the course of 10 years. I would rather be doing this 10 years from now, even if it's in a different shape or form. And I fully expect it to be. It would be amazing if the exact same thing I'm doing right now was still working 5 years or 10 years from now. I don't expect that. Yeah. And so I anticipate that actually by moving with those changes that it'll actually keep it fresh, that I will find different ways to to succeed and thrive and or survive if survival is what's needed. And one of the things that I hadn't maybe appreciated in my own life at the time is that I've worked in tech through mostly a bull market, but there were some weird slow, like I was selling an HR technology for company culture during COVID. Like people were not buying that in 2020. 2022, like interest rates, the ZERP era ended. Software was not flying off the shelves anymore. I have had years as a professional salesperson where I made 2x what I made the year before, which also means then the following year I make half.
Yeah.
And I'm already used to whatever, for all intents and purposes. Let's say you make 100K one year and you make 210 the next year, and then you make 100K the next year. I know how to deal with that. So the situation for me was sort of like, yeah, could I get in all in and make 500K a year in Pokemon for the next 2 years? Probably. And then does it like totally go down? Maybe. Does it go down to 150K for 3 years after that? Years 3, 4, and 5 in the business are 110K. It's just enough to pay my bills.
Yeah.
Maybe. And if it does, I'd rather be doing that. I'd still rather be doing that. And I have confidence that I'll be able to stay treading water during those times. And I'd rather be doing that.
To clarify, I will always be involved with the hobby. I just mean I don't know if I would be engaging with it in the way that how people are today. I'd love to be like a Dubsy at one day. You know Dubsy?
Yeah.
Insane collection,
Yeah.
sells like some of his trophies and like higher end grails and I don't know what else he does, but that seems like that's all he does. That would be amazing. Still involved in the hobby, still making money, having a sick collection. That would be great. That's like a goal.
To take your analogy to the next stage, Ricky, of like pro athletics, I think if I were to really consider what you had said back then, I probably would have come back with the fact is, let's say it is like athletics and there's a small window in which you can really maximize your value to the marketplace. And you and I mean, we're both really big fans of MMA. Like this is especially true of fighters, right? Like you just can't compete with the young guns for very long.
You
Like
turn 35 and like you can't win a title ever again. It's
Right.
just like a rule, basically.
It's almost statistically impossible to
It
like be
is.
a champion in your late 30s unless you're like in the heavyweight divisions. And even then it's rare, right? So if I compare that with what we're doing here, let's say it is true that like you can only really take advantage of the Pokemon industry, hobby, marketplace, whatever, for so long. And it's like this analogy only goes so far is if you're assuming that the hobby will drop off in the future, just like your athletic ability would do in your late 30s and 40s, which so far the trend has only proved to be the opposite. We don't know.
Yeah.
All things come to an end, but like maybe we're at the beginning of the process. We don't know. But anyways, let's say that's true. When an athlete's career ends, they don't die. They don't lose their entire ability to make income. A lot of it depends on other things they were doing while they were competing to set themselves up for the future, whether that's through investments, connections, networking, building businesses, merchandise, creating a name, using the platform, the whole bit. And that is kind of where I'm trying to exist now. I feel like the buy, sell, trade piece, I love it, and I would love to do that at a high level. But if it goes down by 80% from where it is today, I want to have already created things, and I know that you're in this same boat, to where it's like we're totally insulated from that.
Yeah.
And that is what I want to be pivoting to spend more of my time in, which is like, that's how you build a business, right? Like when you're at the beginning of a business and you're the CEO, you're the marketer and the salesperson, and you're the legal guy, and you're the tax guy, and you're also the bathroom cleaner. But like, as you scale, you can pivot some of those things to other people, so you can focus on things that mean that the next 5, 10, 15 years have a lot more promise, and not just the next 5, 15 weeks. And that's really what I'm aiming at, and I think is possible. Like, I think for me, when I made the leap, it was like, in the beginning, it was like, oh, can I like like you? Can I make enough income to justify leaving my job in general? And now, years into it, it's more like, can I build a business that is going to outperform anything I could have done in the corporate world, whatever it may have been, unless I was in the C-suite or in an ownership position?
Yep.
And I think that is possible. Not that I've proven, but like my experience is showing me that this is an industry that can handle that kind of trajectory, that kind of opportunity for a business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's why the difference between me then and me now is that there's so many things orbiting the Pokemon hobby that I didn't really realize. The advent of the mystery packs is a piece of that. The proliferation of card shows all over the world is a piece of that. The hundreds of like accessory products that are going, that are orbiting the industry are part of that. The social media aspect and how you could leverage, being a Pokemon collector with also making social media content about other things, travel, vlogging, food, whatever you might do. Like it's now just like so integrated as something that's happening for human beings all over the world. Like it's legitimate, whether you think that you need to cover your entire living via margins on cards. Like that's just like the beginning. And I think, and I know this is true for you, the version of you that wasn't going to quit your job is so different than the version of you that is now quitting your job. And a lot of that is because you proved to yourself that these other revenue streams and this moat that you can build around and make it a legitimate business, it's not just a hustle. Like you can make it a business.
Totally. Yeah. I think at that time I probably had 1.5 revenue streams, and I would say now I have more like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
And ideas for what could be more that I probably just won't even do because I need to focus on doubling down those 3 or 4. Right. I love the extension of the analogy. You're right. I mean, you look at the pro athletes, you think of somebody like Mighty Mouse, who is one of the best fighters of all time. He started making himself an online personality toward the end of his professional fighting career. And when, sure enough, he was in his late 30s losing fights that the prime version of him would not have lost. He had like 750,000 subscribers on YouTube, and like he's a YouTuber now. Essentially, he's like a Twitch streamer and a YouTuber. And you see that sort of stuff, right? Like obviously, whatever McGregor did Proper 12, and Dustin Poirier has
hot sauce.
I think he does he has hot sauce. I think he does some commentating, but like a lot of those people, like you said, DC started commentating, right? They set up that next thing for themselves so that they're not just relegated to, like you said, just sort of disappearing or having no income or fighting smokers for $100 in their 50s. And it's true. And it goes right back to what Ern was saying maybe an hour ago about like McDonald's and like, are you an employee at McDonald's? Like the person who just vends occasionally and flips cards is an employee at McDonald's. Like there is no insulation there. When things slow down, and they will, those people are the ones holding the bag or the first to go because they don't have a second thing to fall back on in this space. You and I, Jake, have kind of used like a gold rush analogy before, right? Like people talk about the like selling the axes, or, like people who sell the pickaxes versus people who sell the gold. And we've talked about like you can do both, and it's durable and safest. It's the best moat to do both. And in this case, selling gold would be Pokemon right now, the cards themselves, but the pickaxe would be creating value in other ways, like this podcast, like the mentorship things, or whatever else it might be. Running shows, there's all kinds of things you could get into over time. That are more like being an executive at McDonald's or a manager of a franchise rather than working the front desk. And like, you just have that one thing. And as soon as the front desk is no longer needed, like it's gone. The person who runs a McDonald's owns the McDonald's, like it's that. I think anyway, all these analogies are converging on each other to say, I think if people want to get into this now, there's, I think, more opportunity. Obviously I've become more confident in it. Ern also has become more confident in it. And I think you have too, Jake. You've been in it, but I think you've only become more confident in it. We already corrected you at the very beginning saying last time, you need to be making content. You do not need to be making content to succeed now, but to succeed 5 years from now, it might really have been a good idea to have invested in those sorts of things.
Doesn't hurt.
It doesn't hurt.
Yeah, it's an additional moat. in a lot of ways. You know, it is like making content is the way to market these days, and that's what it is. There's a marketing aspect to it, along with just being able to be yourself out there and get your persona out there. But yeah, the one thing I wanted to say as a caveat here, and this is the piece where, like, you know, one thing aside, like, not everyone is interested and or capable of creating a business, and like a business that can cover all of their bills and be a better option for them than going and getting a classic 9 to 5 job. So there's that. But number two is there are also lots of people who have a lifestyle that they expect and the ones that depend on them expect, as far as like life work balance and availability and schedules, that going full hog into a entrepreneurial pursuit is just not going to allow for. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, as someone who has a video on their channel that says our Pokemon business forced us into couple therapy, like, when you go into creating a business, you like your schedule is scrambled. There's always things that you could be doing. I can't speak for you, Ricky, but like, I have an existential pressure that like just lives inside my brain and my heart that says, like, you should be working right now. Like, you should be building right now. You should be networking right now. Like, why are you doing anything other than something that will generate you revenue and future security? And like, when I was working in corporate, I did not have that. I remember one time I was sitting in a one-on-one with my boss, who eventually became the COO of the company. And so, his trajectory was to get to the C-suite. And he said, so like, man, I did not get any sleep last night. I'm like, why? He's like, well, I was just thinking about the department and the business. And I was like, bro, I haven't thought about the department or the business when I'm laying in my bed at night ever one time.
Yeah.
Like, I sleep like a baby, knowing that the second I left the office, my brain, as it concerned my job, was switched off, like all the way. And I could go to grappling training, and I could go to the gym, and I could take my wife on a date, and I could play video games with my siblings online. And I wouldn't think about work again until I stepped my foot into the office the next morning. I no longer have that luxury. Not even close.
Mm-hmm.
And like, when I chat with Fran about our future plans, like, there will have to be some pullback of my involvement in the business if we're going to be able to accomplish other things in life. Like, our pace right now is insane. We are going to, if I take the opportunity, and I want to visit my brother, he just had a baby, the first baby on this side of the family. I'm a new uncle. If I take the opportunity to go and visit him and meet my new nephew in the one weekend I have off between now and October, which will be in June, I will be traveling every single week for a show for like 25 straight weekends. Like, that's the pace that we're trying to keep up. And does it have to be all or nothing? Like, no, obviously not. Like, there can be balance, but like, that's the stage that we're in. And not everyone is interested or willing to go to that level. Mm-hmm. And that's totally okay. Support that 100%.
And for what it's worth, I don't intend to, and that's a whole separate thing, and in some ways I don't have to, right? Our situation's different. My wife works, like, it's just, I just needed to know that to make this decision, I needed to have the confidence that I could meet some minimum financial standard requirement in my household for enough years that at the end of it, it was worth it on both fronts. I don't feel the full pressure of like, things are booming right now, and like, this is your only opportunity ever to like become a millionaire or whatever. Like, I understand people who have that. Maybe you have that. I don't have that as much, so I don't feel as guilty. But for sure, dude, when I was playing 2 hours of Champions, I did it almost like to make a point to myself to do something for myself, and
I can relax.
That's
That's like literally, yeah, it's basically that. Like, look at me relaxing. I can do it. Like, I did have that, but I felt weird. I absolutely had the question multiple times in the last 48 hours. Shouldn't I be doing something else? Shouldn't I be doing more? Like, should I shoot the next video? Like, so what? I finished a video. I have 12 video ideas. We shoot the next one. Like, but then I just said, no, I don't, that can wait till tomorrow, or that can wait till next week and it'll be fine. So I'm not all the way on that end of the spectrum, but I understand it.
You have a video to shoot, right? My first impressions after playing 40 hours of Pokemon Champions.
Ern's really he really wants to remind everybody.
Yeah, you will not escape this.
Dude,
Ricky.
it's good. I'm glad you're playing.
Just know that Ern's opinion of you is always that you're playing video games only.
Yeah.
I'm incredibly jealous, by the way.
Xenix saying W Ricky relaxing, W unemployment maxing, W 40 hours of Pokemon. Yeah, unemployment maxing, 100%. I love it.
Oh, unemployment maxing is gas. I need that as a new T-shirt that you sell.
I love it. Well, we have so many T-shirts for the pod. What was it? Wind Waker reminded us of one, that all easy ways to make money are hard.
Yeah, facts. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, that is definitely true. And definitely needs to be on a shirt.
Can we end this section here with one question, which is, I'm pretty sure both of you touched on this last time, which was, the more you dive into turning the hobby into a business, the less fun you have. And you lose the magic for what we're all in this for, which is a little bit of nostalgia and the fun of like reconnecting with a younger, more whimsical version of yourself. Do you guys still believe that to be true?
No. Dude, I would figure out how to have fun along the way. That's part of the reason why I would want to do this.
Yeah.
How do you build a collection on the side, take a little thing off the table that you really like, that you bought, park it for a long-term binder. I think double dipping is just part of it. Like, you can run this as a business and do it very, very well, but you can also love the cards and make an insane collection at the same time. And in a lot of ways too, like, Jake, man, your video, you got slaughtered.
Crushed.
You got... I saw the title. I'm like, oh, man, he's going to get ruined.
I did.
I thought so, too. I knew right away, too.
Yeah. What I will echo, and I agree with, is like, how many irresponsible collectors there are out there? Like, people who spend a paycheck, they'll go buy something on a Friday night. Oh, yeah, they're having fun. It's like, no, dude. $100 and blowing it on literally gambling is not responsible. You can say it's excitement and like it's, you're having a good time. It's like, you're not having a good time. Most people are just gambling. And so like, if you do treat what you have as like a business, it's not the idea that it's actually a business. It's more so you treat it as something a business owner would treat, which is responsibility, something that's responsible. And I think that was the point that got lost in your video, that people just don't get, who don't understand that, is like, if one day you decide to sell a $5,000 card because you held on to it for 10 years and you want to do that again and again and again, do you think the IRS is going to be cool with that? Like, no. Like, literally no, right? Yep. If you're making $50,000 a year, the next year you make $150,000 a year, do you think that's just going to be cool to do because you decided to be a collector? No. Like, that's just not how it works, right? So there's just like a lot of like clear benefits to approaching the hobby this way, that is not about making money per se, but it is more so about being like responsible, mature, and then also the most important part is like affording the things you want to collect. Again, I haven't put money in the hobby in like 5 years, and I collect and I run I sling cards on the side, and I'm responsible enough, but I'm in a position where like I've literally have no risk outside of, the only thing I'm risking is the things that I've gained, not house money, not family money, not, daycare money. Like, all honesty is because I did treat it as a business without my explanation just now. It just kind of worked itself out that way. Yeah. And so therefore I can do the things I do now with no risk and not feel as guilty about it. But like, most people are not in that position. And I think the sooner you do think of these crazy appreciating assets or cars, whatever you want to call them, as like operating a business, I think people will get really, really far ahead and actually build better collections and be able to afford the things that they have always wanted.
Yeah, I could not
Rant
agree more.
over.
Yeah, I should have said it like that, you know. I should have said it like that. That's a brilliant point. Completely agree. And I think the other piece, circle back to my original question, is when you treat it like that with that intentionality, you actually have more fun and not less. You actually have more fun, and like it's not just like some guilty impulsive vice kind of a hobby. It's like a really rewarding, fulfilling, fun opportunity for networking, gaining new skills, learning more about yourself, all that kind of stuff. Like that's what people are passing up on by not treating it with a bit more responsibility, like you said. Riki, what about your answer to the question?
Yeah. I mean, the reason I got here to where I am right now with all this is, you and Trey brought this up on the PR cleanup Chompcast, where Trey brought up that earlier. A lot of my early videos became sort of themed around, hey, I'm an idiot. I spent a lot of money on Pokemon cards, more than I'm comfortable with, and I'm going to flip my way out of it, essentially flip and grade at my way out of it. And so you get to enjoy the hobby with less guilt and less anxiety and less fear. And so the net enjoyment goes up. I did say this last time, Jake, that I'm worried that it would take the magic away. And this is one of my whimsical, fun hobbies. And I still stand by that. Like, it's very natural that you'll like hedonically adapt the more you see these things, right? Like when you've only ever seen $10,000 of Pokemon cards and someone hands you $1,000 card, you're like, $1,000 card, the dopamine rush, the way that feels when you have handled $1 million of cards over the course of 2 years. And you're like, it's just the fourth time I've seen this card, or this card's not even that expensive to me anymore. Like, you will just sort of adapt. And in that sense, what I felt at that time was like, the more you do this, the more that magic goes away a little bit. And I think that is a little true. There's no way around the like neurochemistry of that.
Yes, for sure.
However, the things we talked a little bit about this last time, or maybe maybe two streams ago, the more invested I've gotten into it, the more joy I've gotten out of it, just from different places. So maybe the joy that I get from holding $1,000 raw single vintage card that I used to get, I get less, right? Like it hits a different level. But the amount of joy that I get from like the response to video release, now that twice as many people watch those videos as they used to, or when I go to a show and twice as many people come up and say nice things or want to do a deal. And so I make twice as many deals, and that enables my life. My connection to it has gotten stronger and deeper. And then I think the other piece of it is I am one of those people who I think I would enjoy running almost any kind of business. So you kind of said earlier, not everyone is built for that or entrepreneurial in that sense. I've always imagined myself as running a business. I just never knew what, or never had an opportunity to sort of stumble into it the way that this unfolded. But you ask me at any point in the last 15 years if I thought someday I would run a business, and I would have said, yeah. I mean, in 2023, I got laid off twice, and I was reading the E-Myth, and I was reading HBR's like guide to entrepreneurship through acquisition. Like, I was looking into buying like a window washing company or a laundromat, or, like I am somebody who I think finds it fun just to operate a business. And so I get the fun in different places, and actually the net fun is higher, not lower, the more I've gotten into it. And that has been surprising to me. That's not what I would have. It's not only is it not what I would have guessed, we recorded me saying as much in September, that I thought the more that I got involved, that I would have less fun. I do have a little bit less dopamine in some places than I did in September, but on the whole, it brings me more joy than it did then. The more that I've gotten into it, the more I've invested in it, the more I've gotten back out of it.
Yeah, completely agree. And as far as the dopamine stuff, Just start spending stupid amounts of money on cards that you don't know are worth it, and you'll feel that dopamine again.
Is that what you're doing? You're just that.
Yeah.
Jake's just like, guys, he comes on the Midweek Machamps and goes, guys, I'm not going to speculate anymore on high-end vintage cards. And then 4 days later, he's like, I need to feel something.
How often do you clock a big L on like things you bought? Or are you well insulated and like you're not taking those chances?
This is going to age so poorly. I really can't remember clocking a big L where I bought something and like
Not get
I had to
scammed,
like
right?
sell it for a loss.
Yeah.
I think the only L's that I can remember taking are buying that fake crap that I made videos about. But like this Tyranitar, I think might be my first chance because there is a chance that like we're at the tip top of the vintage market and then it's just a slide from here and I'm the guy who bought this card. Like that's a chance. But then again, like what about all these other things that are in the inventory that like my numbers are stupid dummy good on? Like it's all gonna be a wash. And I thought it was a reasonable enough risk, but that doesn't change the fact that I'm a risk averse person, and like it felt like a bit of a stretch for this card. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, I mean that's kind of where the dopamine for me to kind of circle it back here, Ricky, is that like, you know, you start dabbling into cards you never thought you would own. Like, not a lie, Trey and I were talking about this specific card less than a couple months ago, thinking how we will never get a chance to own it.
Mm-hmm.
And now we do.
Yeah. Awesome. Wind Waker. Jake is at a point where dopamine maxing.
That's why I trained legs today in preparation for all the dopamine I would have today on the pod, right? So you got to min-max it like that, you know?
Oh, wow. We got 2.5 hours into the pod before Jake had to throw in there that he exercises sometimes now.
Oh, nice, man.
Yeah. So I've officially exercised twice this week. What do you got on that, guys?
That's huge.
I am huge. Thanks for saying.
So, yeah.
Every day for the last 2 weeks, Ern?
Yeah, but I do like light stuff. I'm not like Jake. You probably push heavyweight.
Not like I used to, boss. We're getting old over here.
Yeah. I only work out to get warm and not feel stiff. That's like that's it.
Fair enough.
That works.
Valid. Someone earlier had said that we were their 3 favorites and Ern was mogging. And if I have my...
Is that a compliment?
Yeah, I think so. So
okay.
If I have my Gen
Ron
Z slang, I think mogging is like, I think in this context, that you are more handsome than us. You are out handsoming us.
Yes. He's looks maxing on us.
Yeah. Well, too easy, guys.
Too easy.
Too easy.
I don't know. I don't know what I'm supposed to say.
And with that, let's get into the
so
Q&A.
hard, man.
Let's get into the
Mogging
Q&A
for
before
life.
we go too far down the rabbit hole of talking about how handsome we are.
Yeah, we are. Yeah, health is. Yeah, so we'll end on this. Health. We're all on the spectrum of health.
Exactly right. No one's better than anybody else, except for Ern is better than us.
We already established that.
Yeah.
And he said it was easy. All right, guys. Let's switch into the Q&A chat. So I have 15 starred questions now that have come along the way. So we'll start hitting some of these. If either of you guys need to take a break, now would be a good time. We can kind of rotate on questions.
Do we have a segment after this, or this is it?
We do this, and then we end on the elite forecast, and we will roll out the red carpet for you. Anytime someone does a guest does a good job, we'll roll out the red carpet for them and let them promote what they got coming up.
Let me get my affiliate links ready. Hold on. That's a joke.
Just make sure they're not Arena Club, because you'll get blasted for that in the comment section. I've seen some of that already.
Yeah. So I think we might have answered this from Pooks Magoo, but in line with today's topic, who will be the first full-timers to fail when the market turns, and what will be the key insulating business features? I think we did that pretty thoroughly, so I might unstar that one unless you guys have something to add.
Can I quickly touch on that?
Totally.
I think it's going to be the guys that are okay with that. It's going to be the people that are okay with their time coming to an end in Pokemon because they were just here for kind of a business opportunity anyways. Many of them coming from other places like other secondary markets, sneakers, sports, whatever it may be. They may be here today, gone tomorrow kind of thing, but like that's the kind of people that they are. Like some people will for sure crash and burn, but like a lot of the people that are going to transition out, like they weren't necessarily bleeding heart hobbyists who are in it for the love of the game anyways.
Word. Ern, thoughts on going all in on DR booster boxes? I don't know if this is a troll question.
I did that. I bought a few dozen when they were sub 350, 400.
Nice.
Nowadays, dude, I don't know, because like you're pushing 600. I'd rather buy Brilliant Stars and Chilling Reign. And this is the same thing happened before. I wish I would have bought more Sun and Moon when Sword and Shield was hot. Even though you can make the argument, Evolving Skies is the top set, yada yada yada. But Cosmic was like $400 for the longest time. So, same thing, different era. Man, I think DR just has too much recency bias going for it. And like, you ask any collector, anyone who's been around, like, either you buy the best set of the current era, or you buy the previous era, or maybe something in between there. But Sword and Shield is an amazing era. I don't think people get that. It's not like Sun and Moon. There's a lot of love for Sword and Shield, and a lot of people came back in. So when we talk about speculation later in the Elite Forecast, like, I'll tell you what I think about Sword and Shield. But in general, I think it's just too cheap, and you're pushing up against the same price ranges. So I don't know. That's what I would do. Is I would look back.
Ern's advice: look back at it.
J Vern Raw, what's the most likely cause of the market as a whole crashing if it ever does? Fakes, security issues at printing facilities, loss of interest?
I need a clarifying question. Like, what does crash mean? Like, some people define crash as, the cards that I own in my PC went down 25%. And some people define it as everything goes to zero. So, like, I don't know. It's going to be a different answer for different people because they define things differently and they have different reasons why they're involved in the hobby in the first place. I'm going to define this as of right now, just kind of whimsically, that we're talking about a 50% retrace almost virtually across the board on every card and box. I'm going to say some sort of global economic kind of event is what would cause that, which would impact every other industry as well, including financial markets, everything. So like that's kind of where I would leave it.
Agreed.
I would say when and if people with lots of money are unable to easily make money. Right now, it's really easy to make money, regardless of what you're buying and who you are, and you don't need to know anything about the hobby. But there is a theoretical ceiling to that one day, eventually, when outside money can't be deployed and can't make money quickly. And I think that is going to be a sign of like decreased liquidity and decreased spending and a retrace. It doesn't mean it's going to crash. Like, I think when people say crash, it goes to zero. They mean go to zero.
Right.
But I think we're definitely going to see a retrace eventually because these things can't go up forever. They're going up right now because it's just way, 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 way too easy for someone on the outside looking in to deploy money and make money in the hobby. It's sad, but
they can't go
true.
up forever under current conditions, right, Ern?
Right.
But like, once those things kind of fade and we see a retrace, then new conditions arise and new opportunities become available, right? Like when things go down, money transfers. When things go up, money transfers. So like it depends on what game you're playing, and
yeah, very true.
Like Dan always says, like we're in the same arena, we're playing different games.
Yeah, I know. As soon as the money stops being easy, I'm out of here. I'm gonna go back groveling with my tail tucked to my former job and beg them for my job back at half the salary.
Yeah, that was always my plan.
Same. Yeah, it's a good backup plan. Related, maybe we'll just string together the two questions about a crash from Kavika. Hypothetical question: if the market crashed hard, what would be your strategy in the most optimal way? Just sort of like maybe how do you navigate a retrace kind of thing?
Consolidate back into sealed.
Yeah, I like that. Play a little safer game, a little less speculative game, one with a longer track record. I like that. I subscribe to that. A large amount of what I hold is in sealed. Um, my strategy would, I don't know, like I feel like if you're a business owner, you should always maintain a position in cash for, you know, for the period of time in which you need to do research and development in order to pivot, right? Good businesses outlast things that change. So like if you look at GameStop, for example, like they were the forefront of like video gaming boom in like PS2 and Xbox 360 era when like physical media was like everything. And since then you might have seen them like really taper off, but now they've maintained a really large cash position and have now pivoted into some other things, including things like power packs and collectibles. And it seems like they're doing pretty dang well for being on the verge of like absolute and utter failure. They maintained a position in cash that gave them the time in order to pivot and to remain relevant. And I think that's what you need to do.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that I reminded of is, when the tariffs first came out, there's all this doom and gloom about how people aren't going to buy and it's going to be hard to get product. All the businesses that stuck through that are flourishing, like the sellers who actually figured out how to like adapt. And like, it just goes to show the people who can't absorb the change, they're going to leave.
Yeah.
But the people who are well insulated or I guess they can stomach the risk, like they're the ones who eventually benefit from a lot of this market dynamic change.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things, this goes right back to some of the stuff we talked about today, having multiple streams, having a content channel. I would inevitably be making content trying to educate people on how to navigate the market crash. There would be demand for that still. People would be interested in that topic. So that would be one thing I would literally do as a change. I don't do a lot of market. I do like no market content right now, but that would be what people would be curious about. And I can educate on that if that time came. There would essentially be money in that. I think about one of the things that actually led to me also making this choice to go full time is that I've gotten to know a lot of people that were making a living selling cards in like 2018 when the liquidity and the prices were way, way, way lower to a degree that if we went from where we are now back to what things were like in 2018 or 2019, we would absolutely classify it by comparison as a horrific crash. It would be a complete night and it would be a ghost town compared to what it is right now. And there were still people like Pokemon Steven and just, I don't know, there was a bunch of people. Ern, were you 2020 or not 2019?
End of 2020.
Okay, 2020. So slightly different timing there. But yeah, anyway, there's a lot of people that were like doing fine then. So I think their strategy in a lot of those cases was volume. Like you list up a lot of stuff on eBay, like a lot of singles, because certain singles will just sit for a year. So you just have to have an inventory of 10,000 singles available at all times so that you can sell a few a day and pay your rent. So it depends on what the market's doing, but that would honestly those would be my two answers. I would shift what my content focuses on to what people are worried about. And I would probably just buy a lot. I'd shift a lot of my high end stuff into low end stuff and make a lot of listings on eBay and grind it out.
Love it.
Bucknut003. How do y'all feel about trying to flip Ascended Heroes PSA 10s right now? I currently own the Bonnet IR and a 10, and there's none of them on the market. There's Pop 14 currently.
Ooh, list that baby. Listed high. Pop 14, yeah. I don't know what it goes for, probably like $400 or $500. I mean,
Yeah.
sorry, that's what I would do. That's not a top card in the set, right?
No, not a top card. I mean, I definitely try to move it ASAP, in my opinion. Like, there's only going to be more, not necessarily the most desirable Pokemon. I actually have a very similar situation right now. I have a PSA 10 Crocodile from, I think, Black Bolt, which is just an illustration rare, like low pop. All those illustrations from Black Bolt and White Flare are low pop. They're kind of hard to grade, but also they're not like extremely desirable in a graded, in graded form. And so, like, I think I've had it for 2 months now. And Yeah, some of those are a little bit harder. So I try to move it ASAP, Bucknut.
Yeah, I'd be careful holding on to the newest sets and slabs of the newest sets. Historically speaking, I mean, Phantasmal Flames Art is the exception, but a lot of these they will decline over time. The Sumbreon was like 3,500 to 4K for like the last year.
Yeah,
and it just broke 4,500 or whatever. So, I wouldn't be speculating on some of this stuff. I would honestly sell it.
The exceptions typically are the chase in the set, right? It's like the Twilight Greninja, the Phantasmal Charizard.
Yeah, but that's like growth and boom related instead of like.
Sure. It's true. There's compound.
Those are unforeseen circumstances just across the board.
Yeah, this is a good example of why it's worth having. Treating your collection a little bit like a business, and it's worth having some sales channels, because when the opportunity strikes for this, maybe it would be really beneficial to have an eBay store with 100 positive feedback, where you could just throw this up for 500 or $600 and take offers and see what the market thinks it's worth right now. I would also try to offload it ASAP.
I have a side story. This guy I used to work with, hit me up on text. I haven't talked to him in months, and he's like, "Do you know anyone who would buy this?" He graded the Zard Y from Ascended. And I was like, no, and I explained to him, like, what you're seeing for comps, nobody I know and nobody they know would ever buy that card at the comp. I don't know who's paying these prices, but like, if anyone knows who those people are, like, please get them in contact with us. But like, I don't know who's paying these prices that we see as comps. It's just crazy.
Z and G immediately.
Yeah. It's not like a thing where everyone's paying that price. I'm pretty sure in our area, like, no one would even buy that card within like 20% of that 5,800 price, the all-time high.
Yeah.
So, you can get really misled about comps and what the market is paying, but in reality, it's like mega whales and people who just want first to market cards. And there are only so many of them.
Okay, I'll entertain this one. JT has access to my Instagram. So I did take a look at this earlier, and we do indeed have a DM from somebody who on my story sale offered 6.5 on the Umbreon.
It's a live auction. Who can beat 6.5?
What do y'all? No. We're not a live auction. What do y'all think? I think I can get more than 6.5.
Money loves speed, Ricky.
I'd be patient.
Oh, two different answers.
Umbreon's going to have its day again.
You think Umbreon's going to have its day again after you said you hate black labels? Fascinating.
I mean, Sword Shield's about to do well, man. It's coming full circle.
Wind Waker says 6.6. Hit me with the DM, Wind Waker. I want to see that. That's a wait. We're gonna do a live auction. We'll make it a live auction. I think I'm countering at something like 7, to be honest. So JT, if you're still there, you can tell them 7. Why is that funny?
Because we're having business negotiations for cards live on the internet.
Just running my business live on Midweek Machamps.
Yeah, 100%. I can leave if that's
No. I want your input here.
No, you don't. You already rejected it. Next question.
Xenix asked us, do you have the same risk tolerance for other assets or investments as you do with Pokemon?
I wouldn't even know how to take the same risk levels with what I do with cards in like traditional investments. I don't even know if an advisor or a company would help you with that. They would just be like, you know what? How about you just manage your own account and have fun with it. So, I don't buy crypto anymore. I don't invest in that stuff. I used to, like a moron and a degenerate, not because it wasn't a good buy, because I didn't know what I was doing. But for all my other stuff, like I don't mess around with it. Try to be as conservative as possible, take adequate risk, and yeah, Pokemon. It's a fun game, man. But don't get it twisted. Like, this is, people think it's an asset class, and it can be, but like what we do in this hobby is like way different than what normal people do with their other assets. Like, it's just not even comparable. There's so much trading and slinging and buying at a percentage and holding for short term and then flipping and then holding for long term and then just it's crazy.
Amen. Love that take.
I do not have the same risk tolerance. So I think there's a couple different things that come to mind here, but I think the shortest answer for me is that the traditional advice of investing only in things you really understand. And I feel like the depth of knowledge and like insider track information I have access to here. And yeah, I think that is incomparable to like the stock market. So my household is very, very U.S. equities heavy. It's like total. If you've heard of Bogleheads, my whole household is basically 3-fund portfolio, as boring as possible. 60% VU, 20% international. We were like 2% bonds until recently. I'm just starting to shift the allocation over to bonds a little bit. So in that sense, it's been, in a traditional sense, that's high risk. They would not recommend old people to do 60 to 80% US equities. But I've been doing 60 to 80% US equities for 11 years. It's boring, intentionally.
Yeah, I don't even really know how to respond to this question because like Pokemon is now a business for me. And the only way that I could do that in traditional investments would be like to day trade and be a broker dealer. And so that's just really not possible. I think the SEC would actually put me in prison for that.
Anybody selling Amazon at 80%?
Exactly, dude. Like this doesn't exist.
I mean, you can't trade stocks, so yeah.
Just looking for a couple more maybe to wrap us up. I guess we can do this one. Zorner cards. Who are we seeing at Phoenix Collecticon and Card Party SD? I think both me and Jake are at these. Jake and I are vending Card Party SD together. I'll be set up at Collecticon Phoenix with Swans. Ern?
I'm not planning to attend either as of right now.
You don't even want to walk the Card Party SD?
Dude, I promised my wife we'd do this thing. Of course I would love to go. Sacrifices. We're going to do something cool together with another couple,
Ern, are you going to the San Francisco Collecticon though? The one that's in
San Mateo.
Yeah, San Mateo. Yeah. We'll see.
Yeah, for sure.
Cool. All right. Maybe this is a good last one. It was asked while we were in that main topic, but maybe it kind of wraps today up nicely.
Yeah.
From Galaxy Card Shop. Do you think Pokemon will get you to financial freedom before your regular job?
Oh, Jake, it better, right?
Yeah, that's kind of the bet that I've made. This is probably not targeted at me, unfortunately.
I think it is. Bless you. I guess your choices may be clear. Is what you're saying, right?
Yeah, we've bet the house on it. Not physically, not like literally, because I don't own a house, but yeah, we're all the way in. So I sure hope it does. What I can say is that what I've learned since getting more involved in Pokemon, and specifically in like having a business, is that although like from the outside in, it may seem like starting and owning a business is more risky than having a day job. It seems to me like it's also the fastest way to really increase your wealth and your net worth, right? Like to be the owner of something, an asset holder like that. That's how you really increase wealth. And whether you do that through working at a job and then shaving off a portion of your earnings and buying stocks and real estate or other assets, like that's a way to wealth, or as a business owner. And as it concerns financial freedom, and maybe this kind of circles back to Xenix's question about stocks and bonds. Like I perceive my ability to have my money work for me and perform for me as more viable within my business today than outside of my business. And so, like I would say, most business owners, I'm very heavily invested in my business. And I am not diversified as much as maybe I would be if I was, at a 9-to-5 job.
I was gonna say almost the exact same thing with regards to like any entrepreneurial endeavor is like in some part a bet that the upside is greater than what is available to you in your regular job. And when you think about like these corporate jobs, if you're not willing to be Jake's COO example, up at night thinking about the department, right? Those guys can make 350 to 500 a year and more in public companies, and much more if there's a successful exit. If you want to break past about 250K a year, if you're not a top enterprise salesperson or a C-level executive, and you're not counting on the windfall, it's pretty hard. Like a lot of those salaries in tech are capped at that. So that's a great income. It is guaranteed financial freedom if you play your cards right there. For me, the second thing I would add though, Jake, is for my answer is that a big part of me doesn't care about the speed because you have to enjoy the journey.
Yeah.
The destination is not the thing alone. The money is not everything. So if my regular job would get me to financial freedom in 7 more years, which is probably about what it was on track to do, and Pokemon makes it 10, I think that's a freaking awesome trade-off. Like work 3 more years in something you love to build for yourself. So what if it's a little slower? Like I get to wake up at 9 o'clock and play Pokemon Champions from my bed at 10 o'clock until 10 o'clock. Cause like that's, so what if I go a tiny bit slower? Like I it's about enjoying the ride as well.
Yeah. Love that.
We did miss Aussie Card Collector was in the chat. I know we said end on that one, but this was a super chat from really early on and I totally unstart it when I was clearing the super chats. And so I wanted to bring it back up. So we'll end on this one. Aussie Card Collector, thanks for the super chat. Big fan of Umbreon. What are your feelings for collecting the Celebrations version single/slab for long term?
Always bet on the top 10 of Pokemon. That one included. I think it's going to do good. I mean, it's already gone up quite a bit. It's like $80 raw now. Mm-hmm. It was $30-$40 for the longest time. Yeah, I mean, this anniversary will be the first big test for Celebrations. There's far more Celebrations than there was Generations.
Yeah.
Population wise. So, yeah, I think it's a great card. I think all the cards, honestly, in Celebrations are great.
Yep. Strong bet for a lot of different reasons. Do it. Own it.
Cool. All right, guys. Maybe we end on this comment from BFM TCG. If you're over 30 in Pokemon, do you qualify as a chopped unk? The answer is unequivocally yes.
What's the chopped part mean?
Chopped is, I'm pretty sure chopped is essentially just means bad, like dated, lame. Yeah.
But unk is cool.
Unk unk is contextual. I could call you unk as like you're an older male figure that I look up to. So people can say unk very as though you're a mentor. It can be a sort of a reverential thing, but often people use unk to mean that you're just it's like boomer. It's like millennials saying boomer.
Dude, back in my day, if we said this, I would have got slapped on the head.
Yeah, I think unk unfortunately is the version of okay boomer that someone younger than you can apply to anyone who's older than them. So yeah, being a chopped unk, selling Pokemon cards, I'm gonna say yes, but also I get to own this Tyranitar EX. What about you?
You're just flexing, just unk flex.
I gotta say something. I gotta say something back. Right?
It's funny because Ricky Killa always calls me unk, but I think he means it as like cool.
No, he doesn't mean it as cool. He's talking to you as an older man that he looks up to. It's not necessarily that you're cool. It's that you're like it's sort of like a role model.
But I'm cool. I'm cool though.
You're
right.
You're handsome,
right, guys? Okay.
All right, y'all. Should we end on the elite forecast?
Yes.
I've been waiting all night for this.
Let's go. Let's hear it, Ern.
Jumbo cards. No, I'm just kidding. I just wanted to show this. I was going to show this earlier.
That's cool.
Anyway,
That is
the
actually kinda
Blastoise
cool.
and Venusaur were selling for like 7,000 and 10 as a pair.
Whoa.
I still have this for some reason. I need to sell it. It's my reminder. All right. Here's my elite forecast. I believe very strongly that with the amount of money that's being spent on all these mid-era cards, reverse holo cards, and low pop cards, eventually there's a point where like 2,000, 3,000, like 5,000, all these dollar amounts, it's the same, like it's the same money that's being spent, right? And I don't think that like for the older cards, the market is that big or the demand is that large to justify people wanting to spend 5K, 5K, 5K over and over again for like these niche, you guys know what I'm talking about, right? So I think what's going to happen eventually is like more money comes in, people will be looking for like, well, what is the best like $3,000 card I can buy? And new people don't know anything about like the old sets. They don't know anything about vintage or mid-era or this reverse holo or that card. And so, I've just been analyzing Sword and Shield for a long time now, and especially evolving. But I truly believe like these, for example, I told you guys this yesterday. Like I truly believe stuff like this is undervalued right now. Now, granted, this is like a 2K card currently. I plan on buying. Full disclosure, I will have many of these as part of my stash collection investment, whatever you want to call it. But I just look at like the price of that today. It's currently like 1,900. Umbreon has not really pushed past 4K, and it's been 4K since the last time we did this podcast. Evolving Skies finally went back up to 32, I think, or 3,000. But it's been that way for the last 5 to 7 months. So part of it's like current cards that are being purchased, I think, are overvalued. New money that's going to come in is going to figure out like what is a good use of higher end money. This era of cards, there's a lot of them, yes, but also they're priced in and their artworks are great and they are the top chases of the era of certain sets. I just had this strong feeling that a lot of money is going to move back in this direction mainly because also there hasn't been that much movement. It's been flat. So that's my spiel. Also stuff like this, which I think is criminally undervalued. Top 10 card, I think it's like $500. It was English exclusive. It's now in English and in simplified Chinese. Yeah, just cards in this general generation, I think they're going to come back. And I believe the next 2K is now 5K, if that makes sense.
So you say Charizard? You said pop 10 card?
1,000. Sorry, abbreviating.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah,
No.
yeah,
That is small for a modern card. That's pretty available.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Okay.
that's it. That's all I got. Am I pumping my own bag? Sort of, but I truly believe this, and that's what I'm going to be doing.
Love it. Put your money where your mouth is. My elite forecast is that Ascended Heroes ETBs are going to go to $200 by August, regardless of reprints. I think Ascended is I'm going to say a top 3 set from the last 10 years.
Whoa.
It's probably going to be the best set of the last 10 years.
Yeah. So I'm going to say Ascended ETBs to 200, despite the fact that they're going to print and printing machines go burr and all that. I
actually don't think that's dicey. I think that's like a very legitimate take.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm anticipating kind of a summer cool off like we have most years on Modern, and for Modern Sealed at least. And then big reprints I'm anticipating for this set, a specialty set. But yeah, I think despite that.
Can I ask a sub question? Where do you think Prismatic's going to be in that same time frame?
Prismatic, honestly, it reminds me a bit of like maybe just a slightly better version of Hidden Fates as far as performance. I wouldn't be surprised if Prismatic gets to like, you know, like $30 a pack at some point, and the ETBs are there for like $400, and then it's just there for a long time, like a long time, because there is gobs and gobs of it everywhere. And it also, like, it left like a really bad taste in a lot of people's mouth. I don't think it's ever going to be able to shake that negative connotation that it got. And the pull rates are horrible, horrible. So yeah, I think some people are really bullish on Prismatic. I'm bullish on it getting to that point, getting to 400 to 500 per ETB around, and then being slow from there. That's my take.
I can see that. I can definitely see that. Okay, mine is that Perfect Order booster boxes grazed sub $200 a box very briefly. We've got apparently the second wave is expected for like websites that sell this stuff on pre-order. They're expecting a second wave April 17th. So I think when that comes out, it will touch sub 200 again, and it will stay a roughly $200 box, give or take, up or down 10, $15 from 200 or so for a pretty long time, like for the foreseeable future, many months.
So you don't think it'll get to MSRP?
I have a hard time imagining. What is MSRP right now? 160, 170?
164.
161.
161.
161.
It's hard to imagine. I guess maybe intentionally ignorant question. Why wouldn't it have already hit that when it's at its like fever pitch of everyone hating on it as a set?
Because the supply is still just the
More
first
supply.
wave.
Yeah.
I think it gets
the second wave usually much bigger.
I've heard it's going to be of similar size first wave, like maybe 45% of the 100%, guaranteed release kind of thing. And my take on it is that, like, it seems to me from what I'm hearing from a lot of different big time streamers that this set is not selling as far as like pack rips anywhere near what other sets are doing.
Yeah, interesting.
And so if you get supply like that and it's just not being deleted like these other sets, then the LGSs who hold it, like, they'll have to move it and they'll have to price compete. And I think that it'll get down. Like I estimated that it would get to MSRP. It would touch MSRP this year, I think a couple of weeks ago. I'm still bullish on that. So I think you're right, but I also think that like you're conservative on how low it'll go.
Interesting. I'm gonna stick to my. I mean, maybe maybe I went with a gym leader forecast there this time around, but I'm gonna stick to it.
The classic Brock take.
There's a few people in the chat saying similar. I just have a hard time picturing it, but whatever. I'm ready to be wrong. And then people will still complain that they can't like buy it even if it's on shelves at MSRP. And people will complain that there's like no Pokemon available.
I don't know.
Just no good
I
Pokemon.
actually, yeah. I don't think it's gonna impact. I think it's gonna rebound and be like $220.
Okay, I mean that's right around. You don't think it's gonna dip under when the wave 2 comes out? Okay.
I don't know. I don't think so.
I like it. We'll see. I like it. Nobody has a crystal ball. I'm going with it's gonna touch back down a little bit under that. 220 is a good. 220 makes sense, right? I'm talking about the 10 plus or minus 10, 15, $20 from 200. So, but I'm gonna stick to it. Let's see. I mean, you've been so right so far on the Pogo and the Champions Pass stuff.
And with that, Ern, why don't we roll up the red carpet for you to tell people how they can find you?
Hold on, let me look up Champion. I sold all those Champion Pass ETBs, by the way. All right.
Oh, if you sold them, then they probably just went up as soon as like that's usually the rule.
Anyway. I still have 40 Mewtwo's, you know that, right? In English.
I didn't know how many.
They are now in the PSA vault. Like a responsible adult I am. Ready to liquidate at any moment.
Just hang on. I don't remember exactly what your call was in September when you came on, but Champion's Path is like basically the exact same value.
As it was 140 then, and I said 400.
It was 140. It was one. Yeah, you're right. It was about 140, 145, 150. It is currently 168. So
It'll get to 400 eventually.
So Ern was buying Champions Path ETBs and making like 8%, and Riki and I were buying vintage grails and making like 1 billion %.
Yeah, that's why I went into hiding. No, I those are all I bought all those for like $80, I think, back in the day or something. They were expensive.
all right, you're good.
All right, we're done
that's
roasting
fine.
you, Ern.
Anything else you want
No,
to? Yeah,
well,
roast
right,
me.
perfect.
Roast me.
Where can
What do
we
you
find you?
You can check out my channel, Ern Collects Cards. It's probably in the description down below. I have I promise you videos I shoot for my car. I also have an editor now who does all my shorts. By the
Ooh.
way, best decision ever. To just not have to deal with making content and just having that churned out. So you can check me out there. I even launched a Discord. It's going really well. We have like 300 people in there.
Nice.
So if you want to join, hang out, and ask for unsolicited advice, you can do that as well. But that's me. If you're in the Bay, I'm at shows every now and then. I'm always buying. You can hit me up on Instagram, send me collections. I'll pay better than Riki plus 1%. Minus the guy who sold you the black label. Please don't contact me.
We're gonna cut that in. Yeah, we're gonna cut that in post, right, Jake?
No, I love that stuff. We're keeping it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Ern, for coming on. The reason that we had you come on as our first ever recurring guest is because we have a lot of respect for you.
Thank
we
you.
think you're a wise old unk in this hobby, and so
Chopped up.
a wise old chopped unk, and we want to be like you. And we appreciate your insights and your wisdoms. And that is all we have for today. We have lots of content coming out on my channel this week, also for Riki, lots of cool new videos dropping. So make sure you tune into those. And we appreciate all you guys being here. We don't take it for granted that on a Wednesday night, we can have 300 to 400 people in here and chat about Pokemon. And that's all I've got to say. Riki, any last words?
You said it beautifully. We appreciate y'all.
Okay.
And we appreciate you, Ern. Thanks, man.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
See you
Have a great
Saturday.
night.